If you've ever eaten a Chicago-style hot dog or a Chicago-style Italian beef in celebration, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. Happy Friday. As my producer said, there's white smoke coming from the Vatican to celebrate a new pope, and there's white smoke coming from the White House to celebrate some new tariffs. We're going to break it all down here today. It's Friday. We made it till the end of the week. We do have Mark Petrino coming up today. No Anne Marie today, however. We're going to break it down for you. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for Friday, May 9th, starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. Happy Friday. I hope you all are having a wonderful Friday, and I hope that you had a great Thursday night and the rest of Thursday. I am going to start with one of the best comments I've seen at the open here. Do we trade and how? Can we get 32 likes since we have 32 people watching? Can we get as many likes as people watching today? If we do that, I will be so unbelievably stoked. I'll try to come up with something to do in celebration. But man, this is one of the best comments. I totally agree. Let's see if we can set a new record here today. If you have extra accounts, maybe switch to them, smash the like up. Let's see if we can set a record today. Brett, good morning. TGIF indeed, baby. TGIF indeed. Who's got plans for the weekend? And who's excited about them? I've got golf booked. I can't wait for tomorrow. And the weather's supposed to be good. Azrar, good morning. It's great to see you again. Pete, always good to see you. Locked in here. Mama Bear 70. Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Mama Bear. I hope everything is going well in the household. Good morning, Kevin from Lakeland, Florida. Let's go, Kev. You locked in, ready to go. Jane, good morning. Great to see you as always. Yassine, good morning. Yassine, we got to get our work done early because it's supposed to warm up here and be gorgeous in Chicago. We're going to not waste that. Good morning. It's great to see a beautiful weekend weather. Yassine's on it. He's ready to go. I'm all for it. Do we trade and how? Good morning. Thank you for the support. We really appreciate it. Chuck, good morning. Welcome back. Bernhard, good morning. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. Dan, good morning. Day Trader locked in. Day Trader above 100K. Bitcoin is really getting it done. Ethereum strong too. Solana and Ripple, though, I tell you what, we seem to have identified the really strong cryptos here, and they are moving. Sanctuary City Slicker, good morning. Welcome back. It's great to see you. Gary, good morning. Yasso Fine. I love that handle, Yasso Fine. That is awesome. Good morning. Welcome back. Paul, good morning. Brandy, good morning. Rooster, good morning. E-Rock, good morning. Envy Us. Good morning, my man. You're the boss. Welcome back. A-Shot, good morning. Tanya, good morning. Laura, good morning. Good morning from SoFlo. Is that Southern Florida? SoFlo locked in here. Absolutely love it. Let's go. Brian, good morning. Shot an 83 yesterday. Brian, if I shoot an 83, I will be so absolutely stoked. That's awesome. Javon, good morning. Welcome back. Smita, welcome back. Allsorts, welcome back. All right, let's get rolling here. We are going to start. Let me share my screen here real quick. Big Bees, it's great to see you again, as always. We are going to start, of course, with the Benzinga morning update, courtesy of Benzinga Pro. Don't have a whole lot here on deck for economic events. We do have some Fed speak today, but the economic events were already taken care of here this week. We've got green arrows across the board in the pre-market here today. We'll see if that can hold up. S&P futures are up by 0.25% right now, so it's not as if they're raging. We'll see what happens here with the digestion of the trade deal and any new news that might cross the wire here. Remember, there is anticipation for this weekend because Baiynd is going to be in Switzerland talking with China. We got a new tweet from Trump this morning that 80% tariffs sound about right, but it's up to Scott B. I guess that's what we're calling him now, Scott B. LOL. Anyway, that's what's going on here. We'll see what kind of impact that has. But so far here in the pre-market, green arrows across the board. although only slightly. We do have some IPOs here today. So I will say this, though. IPOs on a Friday, these can be hit or miss. Sometimes they can really be crazy, and other times, boy, oh boy, it can be a ghost town. Just be careful with these if you end up playing them. My suggestion in an IPO is not necessarily buy the opening print. That hasn't worked for me. But anyway, here we go. EGHA, OMSE, and APUS, all slated to IPO here today. We do have one conference going on. It's that 20th annual Needham Technology Conference. This has been going on all week. As far as I can recall, we haven't had any humongous news out of that, but that last day of that is wrapping up here. This is a look ahead to next week. We do have some conferences here, including two that Celsius are going to be presenting at. Crow, I know you were trading Celsius. I don't even know if Crow's out there yet, but we'll see. We'll see if that moves anything. I don't really think there's anything that is huge for me here yet. We'll see. We'll see as that continues to shake out here. Analyst initiations. We did have some earnings yesterday, so we expect to see some more initiations, upgrades, and downgrades. The most notable one, at least in my opinion here today, is going to be on Cloudflare. That's ticker NET. Looks like Jefferies went to a hold, 150 price target. Needham rated it a buy, 160 price target. They were trading higher after some pretty good earnings yesterday. We do have some earnings here today, but they're pretty small. You don't want to release that on a Friday. Nothing here that I'm waiting for. The only one I can think of here for the group, Hawaiian Electric, if anyone's still following that, let me know if there's something there that I missed. As far as the downgrades, Wolfspeed, we actually talked about this earlier this week, WOLF. They're catching 2 downgrades here today, and nothing notable there on the upgrades. So looks like a relatively calm Friday morning. We'll see if that holds up through the rest of Friday here and set us off into the weekend on a happy note. You know what? I'm going to go into the weekend on a happy note anyway. Let's take a look at the SPY. Let's go over where we're at here. So a couple of things. So number one, I'm going to start with the positives. Positives here is during all of this, we've stayed above that 50-day moving average. So since the last move above the 50-day, which was also followed by moving above the 10% pullback level that we had identified, we have just held that. We have never really been at risk of giving that up. So that should actually be some pretty firm support if and when we do go down and test that. The other thing that happened here is we had this really kind of a short-term downtrend after that move up, and we broke that pretty convincingly and had some follow-through for that. Now, those are both positive, and it does look like we're going for this 200-day moving average. It actually feels like that's got a magnet in it, and it's going to bring the price up there. I don't know if we're going to break the 200-day moving average, but it sure does feel like the price is going to move up there and test it. The one thing that is notable here, and this is something that 13 and I were talking about yesterday, is that these candles look fairly indecisive. Don't they? They're almost like a series of dojis. They have wicks on both sides. The body is actually quite small. And there's a number of them in a row here. And I think that that's probably saying that there's a little bit of indecision here. Taking the temperature of the market participants that I interact with on a regular basis, including y'all folks right here, there seems to be not a whole lot of conviction on either side, or if there is conviction on either side, it's a pretty one-way street. So it looks to me like there's some indecisiveness, and the market is kind of trying to figure out where it's going to go next. I think a lot of that is going to have to do with trade deals. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe that's a poor read through. I'd love to hear what you folks think. The recent move up has been great. Definitely, at least recently, it definitely shows that 480 was a bottom. Question is do we roll back over and test that on some type of macro event? We'll see. We'll see how that one shakes out. That should be fun to examine the rest of the year. But what I'm waiting for right here is what happens next. Do we test the 50-day moving average and perhaps that 10% pullback level to the downside for some more downside? Or do we actually go up to that 200-day, perhaps even test it and break it? That actually puts some more interesting levels on deck here, including, the all-time high. I think if we get back above that 200-day moving average, I don't think we're going to go right to new all-time highs, but I think that does actually put it back on deck. A lot of macro things have to happen for that. I'm not trading that yet. I'm not looking for that yet, but I am just kind of looking to see what happens here. 50 or 200? What is it? Which one do we break out or down from next. Let's take a look at some thoughts from analysts on the market here. We're just going to do our general market overview here. Just a quick, just a quick recap from yesterday. The U.S. and the U.K. sealed a bilateral trade deal, cutting tariffs, boosting industrial ties, and securing billions in new market access. The central component of the trade agreement involves the U.S. significantly reducing tariffs on cars made in the U.K., bringing them down from 25% to 10%, and establishing an annual quota of 100K vehicles. The U.K., in turn, will eliminate tariffs on American-made cars, including those from General Motors and Ford, and expedite their passage through customs. Which I could expedite my passage through customs every time I go. Anyway, the 10-year bond yielded 4.37%. The 2-year yielded 3.86%. I thought this was on the company specific front. U.S. Food Holdings, which is not one that we look at very often, reported first quarter earnings that fell short of expectations, while Sezzle, what a move there. Sezzle shares surged by 42% following the company's release of better than anticipated first quarter results and an upward revision to its full year 25 guidance. That was a monster move from Sezzle. We should not be surprised by that. We've seen Sezzle do that quite a bit. I know yesterday we were actually talking about what Dave and Sezzle meant for the Affirm print. Well, it didn't mean anything because Affirm getting whacked here this morning. I'm sure we'll take a look at that. So Sezzle just absolutely getting it done. It's no surprise. That's the one Tim Melvin was after. We're not surprised about that at all, but huge day for this. Okay, couple of insights that I wanted to get to. According to Louis Navalier from Navalier and Associates, quote, tariffs are steering the boat again, end quote. To be quite honest with you, I don't know when they stopped steering the boat. This really seems like a tariff market since they were talked about, since Liberation Day was being hyped. Seems like it hasn't really changed, but nonetheless here, tariffs are steering the boat again. He said that Trump's announcement of the U.S. striking a comprehensive agreement with the U.K. and Scott Bessent's announcement of a meeting in Switzerland with China to discuss tariffs are propelling the market. Indeed, they are, which makes the result of these things pretty important. Now, I'll just say this right here. What time is it? 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday. I do not expect a done deal with China by the end of the weekend. It's great that they're going there to talk. We're probably going to get some fun headlines. There's probably going to be some stuff going on. All of that is fine. I do not think that we are going to show up Monday and it's going to be, here's a trade deal. It's done. Everything's great. I'm not expecting that. So just going to get that out there right away. I would love to be wrong. I'll just throw that out there too. I would love to be wrong about that, but I'm not expecting that. Quote, this helps explain the long recovery rally since the Liberation Day announcement of tariffs on April 2nd. The fear of missing out on favorable agreements being reached has limited the number of sellers, end quote. Someone else has been saying that these past couple of days, hasn't he? He added, the upside story will be that the tariff agreements will result in mutually low tariffs, which should be generally beneficial for U.S. exporters, as Trump has contended all along. He also said that Trump announcing a definitive deal with the UK is, quote, an important first step in reducing tariff fears, end quote. I completely agree with this. We also talked about India possibly being on here. There was a report, I can't confirm it, but there was a report that the conflict between Pakistan and India delayed the India trade deal. I don't know if that's just speak or what happened, but remember, we are expecting some more here. I completely agree with this. Getting this first one out of the way was big. Meanwhile, Ed Yardeni of Yardeni Research agreed with the sentiment and added, quote, President Trump will need to declare victories in his trade wars with multiple countries around the world sooner rather than later. This is a viewpoint pretty much shared by, I think, everyone in here. We really need to see some of this too. This cannot drag on for a long period of time. Otherwise, the market's going to start throwing a temper tantrum. The correction in the S&P 500 that started on February 19th ended April 8th. So there you go. We've talked a little bit about, is there a bottom in? What's going on here? Well, now you got two prominent people pretty much saying the same thing. So trade accordingly. The S&P 500 has now regained almost all of its losses since the April 2nd close, just before it tanked during the annihilation days on April 3 and 4. We had Liberation Day on April 2nd, Annihilation Day 1, April 3, and Annihilation Day 2, April 4. Remember, folks, Annihilation Days, those are days that you want to buy. Buy when the price is low. Buy when there's blood on the streets. There's 8 million different variations of that same premise that goes all the way back to when investing first started. According to Yardini, the stock market will soon have, quote, deals fatigue and tire of Trump's declarations of victory, end quote. We've seen some of that already, right? I think there are plenty of people that are already tired about that and have deal fatigue or tariff fatigue, for example. But nonetheless, quote, we think the trade issue will be behind us by July or August. If so, then the focus should be on how much Trump's tariff skirmishes weigh on the economy and earnings. We expect both will remain surprisingly resilient. End quote. Now, one of the other things that I've been saying here directly for a while was that it makes sense to me in terms of strategy to get the bad stuff out of the way first. There's going to be a lot of good stuff in the back half of 2025, namely tax reform. Don't forget about that. If the tariff skirmishes and the war and all of the gloom and doom is done and there's sweetness on the back end here, just saying, be prepared for all possible outcomes, folks. Okay, that does it for pretty much for the market wrap up. I did want to cover a couple of stocks. I'd love to hear what stocks you folks are looking for. I know that there were a whole bunch of earnings. I've got a couple that I want to start with here, but we should have plenty of time. And we're also going to have Mark on here, so we should be able to ask Mark to break down some of these charts as well. So I think 13 is going to be a little bit late again here today. Should be the last day of it, but we should have plenty of time basically to focus on a lot of charts here today. So if I don't start with the earnings report that you want to go over, don't worry. We should have plenty of time to cover all of that. We are going to start with DKNG here, DraftKings. So first of all, we're going to start with the chart, and then I'm going to go through some of the article and potential future happenings here. First of all, DraftKings, just right on the surface here, this actually looks pretty good. Right? This actually looks pretty good. We've really kind of traded sideways since March of last year. There was one real good downdraft, one real good updraft in there. But for the most part, we've kind of chopped around and gone sideways. It does look like now we've maybe put in this double bottom here around 30. Does that make it does this jump out to anybody? I don't know. This kind of looks like a double bottom. We also now have a series of higher lows that are forming a trend, which we seem to be riding pretty well. We came up to this $36 level, which has been very, very clear. Look at this. This has been a very, very clear level going all the way back to COVID. Okay, so we came up to this level. We also have this trend that started at the top of COVID that I've drawn here that makes a big triangle over these last 5 years. And let's zoom into where the price is. Price is pushing up. So one, we're currently sitting at 36.41. So we're actually above 36. That means the number one key level here for DraftKings is going to be 36. We want to hold above that level. And if we hold above 36, that also means that we hold above 35.97, which represents the 50-day moving average for this stock. We also have the 500-day moving average here at 36.34. So this was a really good move here on DraftKings. We're at a very, very important spot that I really want to see hold if we're going to go higher here on DraftKings. Now, we do have the conference call scheduled. That starts in the next 12 minutes. We'll see what comes out of that. Also worth noting in terms of targets, if I zoom out here a little bit, we have a pretty thick volume point of control that encompasses all of this year and all of 2024. And that value is right there at 37.5, only $1 higher than where we're at. $1 higher than that, we have the 200-day. So this is really important territory that I'd really like to see DraftKings make some productive work at taking out to the upside. If we do, then we can start looking at some of these previous levels that are in a 40 handle. We might have a trade on our hands for DraftKings. All right, let's take a look at the actual earnings report here. DraftKings Q1 earnings highlights: revenue miss, EPS miss, guidance cut after bettors beat the house. That's so weird. But we were just talking about a chart that was looking good. Huh. Strange. Something must be off. Well, we'll see. Sports betting company DraftKings reported first quarter financial results after the market closed on Thursday. Here are some key highlights. First quarter revenue, $1.41 billion. This is up 20% year over year. The revenue total missed a street consensus estimate of $1.44 billion, according to data from Benzinga Pro. They were expecting more than that. The company reported earnings per share of 12 cents, missing a street consensus estimate of 22 cents. Revenue growth came from strong customer engagement, new customer acquisition, a higher structural sportsbook hold percentage, and the impact of the Jackpocket acquisition. DraftKings monthly unique players. This, to me, I think is the key stat of the entire earnings report. DraftKings monthly unique players, or MUPs, were up 28% to 4.3 million in the first quarter. The company said the increase came from strong retention and acquisition and the impact of the Jackpocket, right? Jackpocket acquisition. 28% more unique bettors over the quarter to this. To me, that is humongous. And the other thing to remember here about DraftKings is that they spent a considerable amount of money trying to gain customers, giving away deals like free no sweat bets, increased percentage on parlays and things like that, refer a friend bonuses, the whole 9 yards. They have tried so hard to increase customers. Now they're starting to see some of that. The question is here, if they're able to retain these customers, are they able to then maybe turn on some of the profit jets? We shall see. We shall see. Okay. Average revenue per MUP. Oh, sorry, I skipped over something. I didn't follow this Jackpocket acquisition, so it's interesting to me. Without the Jackpocket acquisition, which closed in the quarter, MUPs would have been up 11%. So this acquisition that they made, accounting for 17% of their monthly unique player growth, I think that's a win. Definitely think that's a win. Average revenue per monthly unique player was 108 in the first quarter. Really quickly, just for some comparison here, I actually had a pretty good end of the year in football, and then into the football playoffs at the beginning of the new year, followed by the March Madness tournament. I had actually deposited $50 of like my own money. I won several bets, and then I just bet off the winnings. That lasted 4 months. So over the course of 4 months, I was able to bet almost every night, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And I didn't use any more money. So it just goes to show you that if bettors win, they're going to stick around. You're going to see more volume here. This is interesting to me because I actually did better than average. The average revenue was $108 per quarter. I was saying they're getting $108 on average per player. They got 50 of mine. And I still played for months on end. It's so far at this point now, I've, of course, bet that down to 0. We'll see what happens in the summer here with golf and baseball. More of a winter sports better. Nonetheless, this is down. This 108 per user here is down 5% year over year. The lower average revenue was due to the Jackpocket customers, which the company is saying that the average revenue per monthly unique player would have been up 7%. So it looks like they're kind of threading a needle there. Recent product enhancements are driving out performance in our core value drivers, and our customer metrics continue to be strong through an evolving macroeconomic environment. That came from the CEO. DraftKings expects to launch its sportsbook in Missouri, pending approvals after the state legalized sports betting in November of 2024. I was just there, and with my FanDuel account, I couldn't place any bets on anything. So it'll be curious to see how that changes. It will also be curious to see if that changes on a per company basis. Like I said, they're saying that was legalized in November of 2024. There are likely some stipulations on that because the FanDuel app will not let you place new bets in Missouri. Guidance for fiscal 2025 does not include the impact of launching in Missouri. The company lowered its full year revenue guidance from a previous range of 6.3 to 6.6 to a new range of 6.2 to 6.4. Very little bit of a haircut there on the full year guidance. The company also cut its full year adjusted EBITDA guidance from a range of 900 million to $1 billion to a new range of 800 to 900 million. So they did cut it. It's not a whole lot. DraftKings said the guidance changes were due mostly to positive outcomes for customers during the quarter. So when customers win, DraftKings loses. Interesting. If not for customer-friendly sport outcomes in March, you mean the favorites winning? Probably. We would be raising our fiscal year 2025 revenue and adjusted EBITDA guidance. So this was a better, evidently 2024 as a whole was a better year than average for the average bettor if 2025 goes the other way, should be profitable for DraftKings. No, that is something we'll see. Does anyone like to trade the sports betting stocks at all? I'm not asking about sports betting. I'm more asking about the stocks. Do you like owning these? Do you like trading these? Are they fun? The whole 9 yards. Curious. I'm trying to take the temperature here of our group. Okay, the next stock that I wanted to talk about, and did I miss any here? Let's see. Josh obviously evidently made some money on ETHU calls. Good job. Good job. Okay. That looks like I got some people riled up with the tariff discussion. That was my plan. Okay, no other stocks here. Oh, you know what? TTD. We're definitely going to take a look at TTD. Where's Lion, by the way? Wasn't he buying this yesterday? Really good timing. Good morning, Amanda. Wow. What time is it? Amanda, you're here early. Awesome. Good morning. Happy Friday. Great to see you. I did add TTD to the list. We'll do that here in a sec. But next, we're going to talk about Coinbase. We just saw crypto make a huge move above 100K, or I guess a huge move to 100K. It's trading above 100K. In fact, let me take a look right now. On the futures chart here, 103,520. This is down from the 104,800 high. So Bitcoin doing a really good job holding above 100K so far. Coinbase reporting earnings yesterday. Coinbase shares are trading lower after the company reported worse than expected Q1 financial results. Coinbase is only down by 1.65% here today. And you can see this is actually up off of the lows from yesterday. The other after the report. The other thing to keep in mind here, Coinbase traded down 4.25% at its low. Well, the options, where is that? Where are you at in there? The options, I can't find it in here. The options were predicting a larger move than that. I can't seem to find it, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Anyway, the options were predicting a double-digit move on Coinbase. We only got 4%, so option sellers seem to have won that one as well. Looking at the Coinbase chart, we do have a fairly interesting setup, methinks. First of all, we recently had the death cross. It did move lower, but barely. And now it actually looks like it's kind of setting up for an inverse head and shoulders. No, we really want to see if this area holds. The 50-day moving average is here at 190. Current price is at 203. I do think it would get some support at the round number, the psychological level of 200. So I'm not really concerned about it losing that. I believe that this 20-day through the 50-day is called a silver cross. One of you will have to correct me on that. This looks really bullish. We also have an inverse head and shoulders here. If I zoom out, check this out. Going back to this time last year, our volume point of control, our biggest volume shelf by far, is right at 207, which is almost right where we're at. So Coinbase, to me, this is actually a pretty interesting setup. Now, I have no position in this, at least not yet, but it sure looks like this might be kind of gearing to test that 200, right? We almost have a neckline here at about 220. I understand this is a little bit janky because it's kind of crooked, but it does kind of look like we have a potential move back to the 200-day and then a move through the 200-day. That might take us to this consolidation area up here in the high 200s. This would represent a wonderful swing trade for Coinbase if this materializes. So like I said, this is definitely something that I'm looking at, and I guess you could say stalking, but I have no entry yet here. Coinbase definitely going to be on the radar here today, especially with earnings out of the way now. I also wanted to see if there was any analyst stuff. Yes, Coinbase price target raised to 190 from 180 at Piper, and the price target was lowered from 276. That's that consolidation area we really want to get to on a swing. That was lowered to 215 here from JP Morgan. Looks like this is fresh here. Rosenblatt keeps their buy on Coinbase, and CMB International Securities reaffirms their buy rating on Coinbase. Let me know, folks. I'm curious. I know we talk about crypto here. We've talked a lot about crypto, which crypto you guys like, and which is, has more utility, which is the best to trade. And I'm not sure that we talk enough about Coinbase as a stock here. So let me know if any of you are interested in Coinbase. And let me know how you would trade this. I'm kind of curious. All right, folks, it's Friday. I know that we had a week off last week, but we're back. We're going to talk to Mark Petrino. Let's give a warm welcome to our resident CMT, Mr. Mark Petrino. Mark, happy Friday, man. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Look, we're going to take the 1 second here to apologize. I had discussed with you ahead of time last week that I wasn't going to be there. I did not specify whether or not the show was canceled, so I totally understand you not being available. Sorry about that. That one's on me. But good to have you back here today.
Yeah. I hope you had a good vacation.
Oh, I was golfing in Branson, Missouri. Big cedar. It's something else, Mark.
Really? Wow.
It is something else. I got a sick bag tag. I got a logo ball. I played on the top of a mountain. I beat all my friends. Oh, it was great.
I used to get a shirt at every course I played at. And because when I was a trader for the institutional world, people would schmooze me all the time. Because when you're a trader at a hedge fund, you pay out commissions. So I have like probably 100 golf shirts. And then I just got to the point where this is ridiculous. And then I started to get hats. And then I was like, this is ridiculous. And then I just started getting logo balls. So I have on my shelf like this, I don't know what you call it, this little like golf ball thing where it's got all these like tees in it. And I just have all my balls in there from different places I played. So yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I've got the same thing. Mark, you now have homework. I expect a picture of that display so that I can admire it, and I will trade you one of my own. Okay, really good stuff there, and I can't wait to make it out by you and play some of those courses out there. I'll get some new logo balls added to my collection, but I digress. Yeah. Let's talk about the market. What do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the stock of the day? Is there something you're looking at? Is there something that kind of tickles your fancy? Where do you want to go here?
Well, I just think that the market's kind of getting back to normal now after we've had this big, massive rally over the last month or a month and a half or whatever you want to call it. And S&P's been going sideways, very quiet. Things are quiet, but I think that's good, right? Because ultimately you tend to get really aggressive buying at two different places, at the beginning of a trend and at the end of a trend. So the uptrend began in April, whatever it was, April 8th or whatever, and really aggressive buying. And now things are really kind of slow and calm. And this is what we want. I mean, it's people want the market to go up fast, but things that go up fast come down fast. So yeah, I think that, I mean, obviously there's still trading opportunities out there, but I think for the most part, things are kind of getting back to normal. And one of the things I've noticed is that, well, one of the reasons why I was so bullish come a month ago or whatever was that a bunch of the sectors, the charts all kind of looked identical. They were all going the same way. They all had this bottom in April, and then they had this higher low in towards the end of April. So it was the healthcare, financials, tech. It's very rare that things all kind of go in the same direction. So that's the reason why I was so bullish. That's that and the negative sentiment. But now things are getting back to normal. We got financials are going sideways. Tech is kind of trending a little bit higher. Healthcare is kind of trending a little bit south. And I think at this point in the cycle, boring is good.
Okay. Do you want to share your charts? Do you want to go over some of those charts?
Sure.
And you know what? Really quickly, I completely agree with you. After some of the wildness that we've had here, a little period of boring wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So I'm with you on that too. Okay, let me go ahead and share your charts here. We got the SPY here. What do you see?
Yeah, so you can just see over the last, I don't know, 2 weeks or so or a week or so, just very quiet. I mean, we barely changed from the opening price to the closing price. And I think our next stop is right up around 575. So we can see that this is an example where support can turn into resistance, right? So people buy here and everything is like, oh, this is easy. Everyone's great. But then the price goes lower. And when that happens, a lot of the people who bought here say, I made a mistake. If I can get out at break even, I'm going to. So watching support turn into resistance is a very common thing in the markets. And you can see down here, the same thing happened here. Support turned into resistance. Now, if we look through these sectors, which I think is a good way to start to look for trades, people always ask me, how do you find trading ideas? And one of the ways I do is to look at the sectors. And if you see a sector that looks like it's reversing or it looks like it's breaking out, then you could look at the stocks that are within that sector, because by definition, the sector, or I'm going to look at the sectors, the spiders or the ETFs
Mhm.
that follow the sectors. By definition, this is just the average of all the things that are in the technology sector. So there's going to be things that break out more, and there's going to be things that, or I should say, there's going to be things that move more, and there are going to be things that move less. But we can see here, if there's really one important thing to watch in the market, I would say, just how does the technology sector, and this is the ETF XLK, how does this navigate around this 220 level? So you can see resistance here and resistance there. But notice this higher low, right? When a
Yep.
market is, when you have a situation where you have a horizontal resistance line, it shows that the sellers are hanging out. They're patient. They're basically like, you know what? If the buyers come to us, I'll sell. But if not, I don't really care. And the meanwhile, as time is going by, the buyers are coming in at higher prices. And when we have a valley that forms at a higher level than the prior valley, we call that a higher low. So this is our old classic ascending triangle pattern. It's an
Mhm.
illustration of aggressive buyers and complacent sellers, which sets the stage for a move higher. So that's tech there is bumping its head on that resistance.
Okay.
If we look at our financial sector, kind of going sideways, but see the same thing here. We had that higher
Yep.
low, right? And if we look at, all the sectors, it was pretty. It doesn't happen too often where you get all these guys going in the same direction. See that higher low there,
Yep.
and now in addition to the fact that we're getting towards resistance and things are chilling out, the sentiment is kind of getting back to normal. You see, we had very negative sentiment for a while. And this is this AAII, the American Association of Individual Investors. They do a poll. And when people are really bearish, it's actually good for the market because what happens if people are really bearish? Well, they sell their stocks. And eventually, when the market runs out of sellers, the only way it can go is higher. It's the opposite in a bubble. When everyone who wants to buy does so, the market runs out of buyers, and the only place it can go is down.
And I want to stop you right there. This is a perfect spot. So I'm glad that you explained that because one of the things that we have been saying recently, Tim reminded us all of this on Wednesday when he was on, or maybe that was Tuesday night on the webinar. One of the appearances with Tim, he had mentioned something that I've said a whole bunch. The market is basically a mechanism to move money from the impatient people to the patient people. So I really like what you're doing here with sentiment because you're showing how that changes here. And lo and behold, those folks that were patient, that weren't panicking and reacting to some of this move and some of this negative sentiment, they did better. I would say probably universally across the board. So awesome that you were showing that. That's really kind of a graphical representation of why it is so important to remain calm and all
Yeah,
that.
and people forget sometimes that this is a market and it's driven by supply and demand. And I have a person who I speak to who's an artist, and she has no comprehension of the financial markets, although she
Mhm.
she thinks she doesn't, but she actually does. But anyway, I wanted to explain it to her. She's like, why do things go up? Why do things go down? If there's a buyer for every seller, then why do prices ever change? And these are very good questions. And I put it to her in the terms of art. Like, say you have a picture you want to sell for $50,000 and you need to sell it, and you go to an auction and you go to sell it and there's no one there. Well, you're not going to be able to sell it at 50. Maybe someone will come to you and say, all right, I'll pay you 40,000 for it. Right. So if there's not enough demand, you have to push the price lower. What if 10 people showed up that were all willing to pay $50,000? Well, then guess what? They're going to start outbidding each other and the price is
Yep.
going to go higher. So that's what markets are. And down here, when we ran out of sellers, a market with no demand, a market with no supply can only go higher. And if we look at Palantir, this is kind of similar to, it's actually very similar to when the NVIDIA earnings came out, right? We had really good numbers, but the stock went down. And a lot of people, we've had a little bit of a recovery, but the stock went from down here to over here. And here's the thing, right? People think that the numbers are going to be a positive catalyst and it's going to drive the stock higher. So they don't wait for the earnings to come out. They buy the stock before the earnings come out. So when the earnings do come out, there's effectively no one left to buy. And the only way the price can go is lower, because if a market has no demand, it can't go higher. In order for a price to go higher, you need people you need buyers to push the price up, right? If there's no one who
Yep.
wants to buy, it's not going higher. So great numbers, and the stock went down because people positioned before the earnings. Now we can look at Tesla, and pretty much the opposite happened when they reported. They reported bad numbers, and then the stock rallied. So it was widely anticipated that they were going to report bad numbers. So the people who wanted to sell did so the before the earnings came out. Now, if you're some short seller and you shorted this and you think like, oh, when these earnings come out, this thing is going to fall like a rock, and the earnings come out and it doesn't move, you all of a sudden you start to freak out, because if you're a short seller and the thing starts to go higher, you start to lose money. So you get all these people that were selling, are trying to buy their shares back. But again, it's the same thing, but it's like the mirror image. People took their positions before the news came out. So when the news came out, in this situation, there was no one left to sell. So it's important to understand that a lot of times things do not move because of fundamentals. Things move because of psychology and ultimately because of supply and demand.
Okay, that right there is a mic drop moment from Mark Petrino. James here had just said, I love Mark digesting the psychology of trading. He's given it to you straight there. That's a really, really good point. This is a great example. And Mark, I've got great news for you. There is a stock doing exactly what you're talking about right now. If
Which
you
one?
would please punch up DraftKings, ticker DKNG. This was a miss on the top and the bottom line and a guidance cut yesterday. But guess what? They're trading up 3.5% here this morning. So
Yeah.
it sure looks to me we had a bad earnings print, and it's not really moving down anymore.
Yeah. So there's your psychology. And this is actually a little bit of an interesting thing, because we just talked about the old ascending triangle pattern. And you could kind of see that here, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have a situation where the price level, and again, we always want to know where these important price levels are, right? So right around 36.25 became support here. And when this happened, a lot of the people who sold said, I made a mistake. If it ever gets back, they said they made a mistake when the price rallied. If it ever gets back to my level, I'm going to buy my shares back. So remorseful sellers from here, placing buy orders here, made the level that was support become support again. And then you see the same thing happened over here. Then the stock breaks the support and goes lower. And at this point, buyer's remorse kicks in. A lot of the people who bought at the support are like, I made a mistake, and if I can ever get out at break even, I'm going to. Now, this might be hard for people to see here, but this line is $36. Yesterday's high trade was 36.11. On this day, the high trade was 35.96. So right around this 36 level. And this morning we could be breaking it. So a common strategy that traders use, see, we're trading up here, is called a breakout. And the idea is that if something is trading below a resistance level, you don't do anything if it's just below it, because at any given moment, some of the people who created the resistance with their sellers can start to say, I'm sick of waiting around here. I think other sellers are coming into the market. I'm just going to reduce the prices that I'm willing to pay. And that could start a snowball effect if other anxious sellers see that and do the same thing. Now, the concept of the breakout, and this could be a breakout here, is if you trade above the resistance, it could be an indication that the people who created the resistance with their sell orders, whether they're traders or investors, are out of the way. They finished. So if you take a large amount of supply off of a market and then the buyers come in, they're going to have a hard time finding sellers. So they're going to be forced to really jack the price up and outbid each other. So this here looks like a pretty interesting idea. Now, if I was going to trade this just as a trading idea, my target would be right up here, because we know a lot of times when you get to a level that was resistance, there's resistance again, just like happened down here. And this is because of buyer's remorse manifested in a different way. There's people who bought up here who are like, oh, this sucks when it goes lower, but they basically say, I'm going to hold on to my losing position, but if I can ever get out at break even, I'm going to. So if the stock gets back up to here, there's a really good chance there's going to be some resistance there.
Sure.
So, I would buy it here. I would think about selling it up here, or I should say I would think about buying it. I don't want to give any official recommendations. Then if you reverse back below 36, you say, all right, well, I'm just going to get I'm going to take a little bit of a stop out here because maybe my timing's wrong and I'm going to take a small loss and move on. And then if it starts to go your way, you put in a trailing stop. One of the things that a lot of, I think, newer traders don't understand is even the best traders in the world take losses. They don't have these like secret methods that are always great. So the difference between the people that are successful and the people that aren't is the people that are successful take small losses. They get out of something before it gets out of hand. You know, it's like, and on paper, it's easy to do. I have a paper trading system. I bought it at 10. If it gets to 9, I'm going to sell it. Right. But in real life, that's $10,000 and it goes to 9. And you're like, wow, now I'm down $1,000 here. I don't want to sell it. I'm going to hope it comes back. So
And
that
there.
is the bane of traders is their
That's
psychology.
right. That is exactly right. Been there plenty of times. Plenty of times. Okay, this is a really good breakdown here. That was a really good dovetail there into DraftKings. Did you have a stock of the day that you wanted to cover here today?
One of the things that I talked about, which I just think is kind of cool. It's not the stock of the day today, but it was, I don't know, maybe last week. I forget exactly when. But we talk about this concept of market memory, and this is American Airlines. And market memory means that a
They
price
lost my
level
golf
that's
bags, by the way.
what's that?
They lost my golf bag. So funny story here, real quickly. American Airlines. That's what I used to fly down to Fayetteville, Arkansas. I land in Fayetteville. I admit I had 2 beers in the airport prior. I'm on vacation. Thought this was going to be great, so I'm
So
feeling
that means
real
more
good.
like 8.
No, it was actually 2. I don't drink beer very often, so I can't really drink a whole lot of it. But they were the Goose Island. They were the tall boys. Anyway, we land. The first thing that happens to me is I get a push notification saying that your bag did not make it. Your checked bag did not make it. Now, my checked bag, I carry on my clothes. My checked bag was my golf clubs. I'm going to Fayetteville for a golf trip, which I am leaving the next morning. So I am, as you can imagine, I'm pretty upset. And I go down to talk to the gate agent. And let me tell you something. This woman could not have been better. She was extremely nice. She was extremely understanding. And everything that she told me would happen happened exactly. I have one of those little smart trackers in my golf bag, so I could literally see that it was still at O'Hare Airport. And I was like, I know where my bag is. You didn't lose it. I know where it is. It just needs to get here. And she's like, can you describe the bag? And I described it. She goes, oh, yeah, we found it. It'll be on the next flight. And we'll drop it off at your house tonight by like 11 o'clock. I was like, if you do all of that, I can make my golf trip tomorrow and this will all be forgotten. Bag showed up at 12:30 and was not damaged at all. So American Airlines, F you for losing my bag, but thank you for very quickly finding it and then delivering it to my house so that I could actually go on my vacation. So funny that you chose American Airlines here. Has nothing to do with the stock, but just so you understand.
Wow.
That just happened.
That's I don't. That's something I always debate. Like, should I bring my clubs with me or should I just get like rental ones when I'm there? But I always end up bringing them with me.
Yeah. So I've gone through that battle too, right? It's $35 to check a bag each way. So it's $70 total to get your clubs to and from wherever you're going. Shipsticks is like $100 at minimum. That they put them right at the club, but it's like, I don't know. You save a little bit money. I like to do that. I don't order DoorDash because I like to save on the delivery fee. I don't like to use a premium golf club delivery service because I like to save on the fee. It's my own fault.
Yeah, well, that's pretty amazing though that you got them back because I would have been thinking I'm never going to see those clubs again.
If that, I would still be angry. I might even be incarcerated because I love those golf clubs and I would have gone crazy if they were lost.
All right. Well,
anyway, let's talk about the stock. Sorry about that.
I guess all's well that ends well.
All's well as ends well. That's right.
Well, one of the things that I think is very interesting about markets, and I think a lot of people take this stuff for granted, but I don't because, I mean, this is basically what I do. But when we talk about market memory, it refers to the fact that if there's a price level that has importance, can remain important for a long time. And I just noticed that with American Airlines. So way back during the COVID crash, we got down to around 880, and that's where we found a bottom. We rallied. So here we are 4 years later in July of 24, and the stock sells off for whatever reason. And where does it find support? Within, 10 cents of the same level that it was back here. And then we just had this recent sell off, and it's the same thing. We found the support literally within pennies of where the support was. So this level is important going back now 5 years. And it's hard to believe that this could be the case, but you can see it on the chart. And then on the upside here, right around this price, we had resistance in July of 23. We sell off and then we get back up there and we get resistance again in January of 25. So it's just an interesting illustration to me of how these price levels that are important can stay important for a long time. And a lot of times people that are trading will ask me, like, how far back should I look when I'm trying to identify important price levels? And the answer is really, well, as long as it takes, because it may not seem likely, but there could be a price level from 10 years ago that something gets to and it's important. If we were to rally and break through this resistance, my guess would be we'd hit some resistance right around
Yep.
here where we were in 21.
And this is always why we say here on this show, especially, look to the left, right? The more you look to the left, the more you're going to be able to identify some of these key levels.
Yeah, that Charles River Labs got some good news on it. I mean, so this one was really just kind of luck, but you see, we
Oh
really
my
blasted off.
God.
But yeah, they look. I
This
guess
reminds me of EA, which we talked about here. That thing ran 40 points from our entry. And then if you're going to look at EA, that's great. After EA, I'd like to look at the trade desk because that's one that we've talked about recently. And Mark, we might have put in the bottom. We might be turning around. Look at this one. We talked about this at 115. Where's this at right now? One what?
155. Yeah,
that was a good one. I hit that 3 times. I didn't take a
nice.
loss on any of them.
So trade desk was TDD.
TTD.
TTD. That's right. The trade desk. Yeah, no, this is really turning here.
See, that's what I'm thinking here, right? So we talked about this, and I love that you still have your drawings from the last time that we were on here today. We had a trend that we were looking at. You had that bottoming formation that you outlined with that purple box. We actually fell a little bit further, but to me, it sure looks like here that the bottom is in.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. And we could see again, right? We talk about the higher lows. So this low is here. This low formed at higher prices. So this is early April,
Bingo.
and this is mid-April. This low is at a higher price. So again, you get those markets don't go in straight lines. They tend to go in peaks and valleys. And when your valley is higher than the previous valley, that shows that the buyers are getting more aggressive. They're coming in at higher prices. So yeah, so that's a pretty
And it
nice looking
looks
chart right there.
it also looks to me, if you extended that trend line that you have, it almost looks like it would line up where the stock finally bottomed. Look at that. I mean, I don't think that's coincidence, Mark. I really don't.
It's really astonishing. And if you read the stuff that was first, I mean, people I guess talked about it before, but in the 1920s, the guy named Richard Schwabacher wrote a book about technical analysis, and Edwards and McGee, continued his work, and that's the book that most people read. But either Edwards or McGee, I forget which one, was Schwabacher's son-in-law. But even when he was writing back in the 1920s, and he wrote about trends lines and resistance and support, and it's a great book for anyone who's interested in technicals. Even he was like, this stuff is really just amazing. Like it's, he's like, he fully doesn't even understand it. And this is the guy that literally wrote the book on this stuff. But it's one of those amazing things. I mean, I think it's amazing that you can see the patterns, the same patterns in charts of different things, whether you're looking at
Yeah,
a stock or a crypto or a commodity or a bond or a currency. You see these same patterns. And that's because what we're looking at is a graphical illustration of the psychology of the people that are doing the trading. And
exactly.
regardless of what people are trading, whether you're a bond trader or a crypto trader, people experience the same emotions. And that's what we see on a chart.
Okay. Okay. Real great stuff here. Real great stuff. STFU is asking here, inverse head and shoulders on this chart. Do you ever look for patterns and stuff like that? Or are you more of like a trend level guy?
Well, I think it's important to understand what the head and shoulders pattern shows. And it's very rare to find a perfect one. But but what happens is this, right? When we're going down in a market, the levels that were support can turn into resistance like we see here. All right. That's the sign of a downwards market. When that stops happening, when what was support stops turning into resistance, then that's a characteristic of a market bottom. All right. So when the what was the left shoulder does not become resistant, you see how it became resistance here, but
Yep.
then it stopped becoming resistance here. So that's one of the things you look for in the inverse head and shoulders. When you're moving lower, you there's a tendency for levels that were support to turn into resistance. When that stops happening, that's a characteristic of a bottom. And then the other characteristic of a head and shoulders or an inverse head and shoulders is when the shoulder is forming at a higher level than the inverse head, which is what we just talked about,
Mm-hmm.
the higher lows. So the two things to look for in the inverse head and shoulders is when what was support stops becoming resistance, and when that shoulder is higher than the head, that's the higher low. So you're looking for two things: the cessation, I guess, if that's even a word, or when it ceases, when support stops becoming resistance, and you get a higher low. That's the essence of the pattern. So it's very rare to see perfect patterns, but I think it's important to understand what it is that the pattern illustrates. So yeah, I mean, I would agree that you could argue that this is an
Mm-hmm.
inverse head and shoulders pattern.
It's
But the
just
important
not,
thing is
like you
just to
said, it's just not
understand.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, the important thing is to understand like what it illustrates.
Okay. Cessation is absolutely a word. My father used to teach smoking cessation classes, which was how to quit smoking back in the 90s. Okay. We got another stock here we want to take a look at. I am going to do my best here. Is it Chenier? Is that how I correctly pronounce your name? Chenier? Let me know if I got that right or wrong. She wants to know if we've talked about Lilly today. We haven't, but this is a great time to do that. So ticker LLY, if you wouldn't mind taking a look at that chart.
All right, so Eli Lilly, I would say oversold and getting close to a potential buy level. And let's see. Yeah, I mean, here's where I would get interested. Again, it's not going to be perfect, right? It's support is more of a zone. We talk about levels, but it tends to be more of a zone. But if you think about it, support levels can be more volatile than resistance levels because support comes from we get to support because people are selling. And selling is driven by fear, whereas tops are driven by hope. So this is why markets go down faster than they go up, and you can see it here. So I would say we're oversold. We're getting close to the level where I would consider buying 725 or so. But what I would do is I would wait for the reversal to start. In other words, you don't just buy it because it gets down to support. You wait for it to reverse and start going higher. In other words, maybe it gets to 725 and then you buy it when it gets to say 735. Because there's the old saying, the catching the falling knife. And just because something gets to support doesn't mean it can't keep going, even if it is oversold. So I think that this would definitely be on my radar screen for a buy or a wake up call, I should say, at 725. And then if it starts to reverse and maybe gets to 735, 740, that's where I get in. It's the greatest traders in the history of mankind can't catch the top and or the bottom. There's an old Wall Street saying that the only people that can catch the tops and the bottoms are liars.
Yep.
Right. So, so don't even think that you're going to, don't even try. Just wait for the reversal to start. And then when you get a little bit of conviction that the reversal you anticipated is actually going to happen, well, that's when you jump in.
Okay. Okay, good stuff there on Lilly. I want to do Robert. This is a blast from the past. Funny story here. Robert saying go. I like the symbol, but that's about it all. Would you mind pulling up go? This is not a you've probably never been asked about this. Fun fact about go. I bought this stock way back 2014, 2015. I was learning from a guy who was all about this, had the inside track, the whole 9 yards. This was one of my first real big wins. I had an average price down here. I think it must have been low threes, maybe 310, 313. And this thing went on a huge run. And I mean a huge run, especially for that. I mean, it was close to 20. All right. So I ended up selling this thing double digits. This was probably my biggest trade of my learning period. This really kind of set me off. This really helped me not blow up my third trading account. So GoGo will always have a special place in my heart. But fast forward to today. What are we seeing here in the charts?
I would say I'm not really seeing much because we're in the middle of a range and our momentum's neutral. But again, just want to point out this phenomena of what was support turned into resistance, and then support can stay intact. So remember, people buy here, and when they get underwater, they say, "Oh, I made a mistake. If I can ever get out at break even, I'm going to." So when it rallies back, remorseful buyers from here, placing sell orders here, converted the support into resistance, and then the same dynamic, but just manifested in a different way. We have the people that bought here trying to sell to get out here. Now, is this this morning? Is this thing trading at 9.5? Am I reading
Yes,
this right?
sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
so that could be
We're
a
up
potential breakout.
26% almost.
Yeah, just like we talked about before. If we're trading above that, it could tell us that the people that created the resistance are out of the way. Maybe they finished or maybe they canceled. So when you take a large amount of supply off of a market, if buyers are coming in, they're going to have a hard time finding people to buy shares from, and they may have to push the price higher. So this could be the beginning of an extended move higher.
Okay. Also, not on this chart, but two other things to keep in mind. The 500-day moving average is sitting right there at 979, 980. So it is right above the current price. And we also have a volume point of control that goes all the way back to COVID, sitting at 1018. Wow. So you got two pretty key levels right above where the price is at right now on GoGo. I didn't think we'd ever talk about this stock again, but here we are. Here we are. Okay. Let me see if there's one. Do you have time for one more? Maybe we could do one more here. One more. Let me see if there were any someone suggested TEM. It was Shanlu Trading saying, "Morning, Ryan. Can we look at TEM?" This is another one that we've been looking at a lot recently. Let's see what Mark has to say about
it. Interesting here. Well, I mean, this could be another potential little bit of a breakout. And it's not surprising to see all these breakouts considering what the market's done. But again, when you clear resistance, I mean, you could even argue that this was the breakout yesterday. When you clear resistance, it could tell us that the people who created the resistance are out of the way and they finished or they canceled. Now, one of the main reasons why we get resistance is because we get these remorseful buyers trying to sell. When you rip through levels really quickly like this, or when you gap through them, you could argue, well, there's just not a lot of time for it to be this large vested interest of buyers who are buying, who are going to be trying to sell on the way back up. So there's a good chance that this thing makes a relatively quick move back up. One of the principles of markets is when you make a fast move through levels going one way and then you reverse and get back through those same price levels going in the opposite way, you tend to make fast moves back through them, because when you first go through them really fast, if you're going through fast, you don't have this large concentration of people that were trading. So there's just going to be less interest than at a price level where a stock spends a lot of time at.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there on Tempest. I'd love for us to get another 89.5 test. That'd be something else. All right. Mark, really good stuff. Glad to have you back here. You got any golf lined up for this weekend or not?
Actually, I don't. I'm going to pick my daughter up at college tomorrow. And then my wife's going to pick up my other daughter. So we'll have the family together for the first time in a bit. So
okay, well, that sounds great. I mean, golf can always wait. Family first, always. Mark, we really appreciate.
That's why people play golf, actually, and a lot of times is to get away from the chaos. I have twin daughters and a wife, man. So
I wasn't going to say that, but it's okay for you to say that. So no problem at all. Mark, thanks again. All the stuff that you do here, you break it down. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll be spending a lot of time in the woods with my male dog, Clifford, this weekend, I get a feeling.
Okay.
All right, thanks a lot, everyone.
Hope you and Clifford have a great weekend, Mark. We'll catch up with you next week.
See you next week. Okay.
That is Mark Petrino, the resident CMT here. Really, really good breakdowns. I know we talk a lot about stock psychology. I think it's extremely important, and I don't think anybody does a better job than Mark at breaking that down. So really good stuff. Guys, we're going to do the movers. Mo, excuse me. You had asked about Apple. I'm sorry we couldn't get to that with Mark. I'd be happy to take a look at that chart for you before the market opens here. But let's go ahead and knock down some of the movers. A couple of things to clean up here. First of all, hello to everyone that I did not say good morning to, like Mo, Kathy, Jay, Crimp Biscuit, anyone else. Also, Sanctuary City Slicker. You're kind of all over the map with some of the comments. I got to be honest, I did not have something like a phenomenon, a quote from a 90s LL Cool J song on my bingo card today. I did not think that we were going to see this or talk about this, but lo and behold, here you are bringing it out. LL Cool J, whatever happened to him? Anyway, good to have you here. Good morning to anyone I missed. Let's break down the movers. Then we'll take a look at some of the stocks you want to take a look at. Apple at the top of that list. Good morning, Alex. All right. Let's flip over to movers. Chris, good morning. Here are the movers. Let's go to the chart. Let's start with SRXH. Now, several of you have mentioned this one already here today. This is ripping. This was a penny stock that is now in dollar territory, and it looks like we topped out here at about $1.45. Stock's up 143% here today. SRX Health Solution shares are trading higher after the company announced it purchased approximately 1.5 million of Solana tokens as part of its diversification strategy. Okay, so we have a new theme that we definitely have to take a look at here for some of these smaller stocks. And frankly, this is going to apply to bigger stocks too. We have SRXH adding a crypto to its treasury. In this case, they're doing Solana. You know what I'm going to say here. Where on earth is Jay Diamond? We need him. We need Jay Diamond. Why is Mark Petrino's badge up on the screen, producer? I am not Mark Petrino. Oh, you're advertising a Substack. Folks, check out Mark Petrino's Substack. Sorry about that. Anyway, we need Jay Diamond back here because I was told that all of these coins are fraud and they're going to zero. And now I'm seeing a whole bunch of companies in a bunch of different industries add them to the treasury. So what does this mean? What does this mean? It's just day trader, hat tip to you because you have, since you've been in this stream, at least from my perspective, since you've been in this stream, you have been adamant that Solana is one of the top crypto coins for various reasons. And I'll tell you what, the news flow is sure showing that you're right so far. So hat tip to you. We'll keep taking a look at that. This is definitely a new theme. This going on here with SRXH popping here. It's coming in a little bit. VWAP here at 117. We're currently holding 120. That VWAP level is going to be important. The pre-market high of 146 is also going to be important. Let's take a quick, sorry about that. Let's take a quick look around the horn here. We really have no short interest for this stock. Okay, no short interest. We'll probably get that with the next read, which I think is going to be due here pretty soon, right? I think we should be getting another short interest read here pretty soon. So should be able to see that. Don't have anything for you here today. Also, don't have anything in the float. This is a fairly new stock. Oh, this was the old BTTR. Well, now I understand. I just needed to keep reading. Okay, so we can probably take a look at the short interest from that. Okay, I'm going to estimate there's probably around 5% of the float shorted, and it probably does have a days to cover of about 1 or less than that. So this is the new BTTR stock, it looks like, SRXH. Now it's adding Solana to the treasury. It's going higher here. Let's take a look and see. Do we have any financial? I was going to say we probably don't have any. Yeah. I didn't think so. With the ticker change here, we don't yet have the financial stuff. Okay, so we're basically just going to be playing this off of a chart. And lo and behold, we're settling right here in a consolidation area. It does look like this 150 is a resistance area, and I would say the next level up here is probably 2. Maybe we run into some resistance there in the 180 handle. So don't have a whole lot here. Adding Solana to the treasury, it's popped the stock here 100+%. Sure looks like we're at a consolidation or former resistance area. We'll see if we can get up to 2. That definitely looks to be the next spot after 150. So 150 and 2, honorable mention there to 180, 183 in the pre-market. SRXH. I've never traded this. I've traded BTTR before, but obviously I've not traded it since it's been the new ticker. We'll see how this thing trades here today. Yo, Wiss, happy Friday. Wiss, where are you playing this weekend? You got any golf lined up for the weekend here? Okay. All right, good stuff. SOL is one of the best coins, says Hans. Hans, I seem to be a late adopter of SOL. That's probably the wrong word. I haven't really adopted it for anything. I am starting to see that myself. Solana was not on my radar, but now I'm starting to see that this is clearly one of the top coins. We're seeing it more and more with some of these press releases. Okay, that is SRXH. Next one here is going to be WBuy. This is We Buy Global. This is WBUY is the ticker. Stock is higher here. This was reported Thursday. I'll actually go back to the news here. This was reported Thursday morning, so yesterday morning. They reinstated listing on NASDAQ Capital Markets and returns to profitability with its strong first quarter growth. Okay, so it's still running on that. This actually looks like some continuation. What's interesting here about this is that we had that initial impulse move yesterday when the news came out. Stock had really poor day yesterday. And then today, it looks like it's moving on higher volume. So part of me wonders if this was maybe a digestion of that report, maybe a closer look at that report, or also maybe a room pump or something like that. So we want to be careful with this one, but it sure looks like this is going to be back on deck here. 1920 is going to be your pre-market high. It's got a crazy range. If this thing continues to, or if this thing does what it did yesterday, I think it is a certainty that it comes into this $9.80 or $10 spot, just like it did yesterday. But on the upside here, we kind of want to watch 19. What do we say the high is here? 1930. We'll see if we're able to get above that high. This thing looks pretty spread, looks pretty thin. Float, we got a micro float on this thing. No wonder 602,000. So we should all know what to expect here with a float this small. Interestingly enough, it is over its average volume. Actually, on average, trades about 1.7 million shares. This should be liquid enough to trade here today if you can handle the spread. Just be careful. Doesn't look like we have, never mind. I beg your pardon. 0.36% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Negligible short interest in there. Let's take a look and see what we've got here on the financials. Company has $4 million on the balance sheet, but it cash flows minus $7 million per quarter or more. So this thing is definitely going to need some money here pretty soon. You're going to have to figure that one out. Probably going to have an offering here. Be careful with this one. Stock's up 125%. Again, really low float, likely to be spread. I could look at it right now here, but this is in the pre-market. We want to see what that spread is like in the regular session. It's actually not even debt. Never mind. This is only spread anywhere between 5 and 10 cents right now. We'll see what happens when the market opens. Things might change here. WBuy, definitely put it on your radar for today. Next one is going to be one that we have traded a lot. We've talked about this one a lot. This is Siyata Mobile, ticker SYTA. Here we go. Thank you, producer. Core Gaming AI comic transforms game assist creation with breakthrough AI visual technology. The app seeing strong adoption with user base growing nearly 300,000 users. User-generated content is rapidly growing on social media. Strong performance of long-term value and return on investment. Okay, so it looks like you're getting a PR here about one of its products that actually looks to be performing. Stock's up 92.9%. Got to say that it seems like a little bit of an overreaction here, but we can probably use some technicals to make sense of what we see here. This last impulse move happened on volume, took us up to about 220, a little bit higher than 220. We're so far holding the VWAP. We already bounced once off the 15 EMA on the 5, so we'll want to pay attention to that level again. Let's see what we can do here. Looks like we're starting to form a pretty sharp trend. We'll see if we break that here in the pre-market. 220, definitely an upside level that we really want to hold that VWAP here at 180. I think what is this, 160? I think this 160 level might support it if we get back down there. Careful with this one, though. We've seen this kind of go all over the place. Financials here. Let's take a look. Balance sheet. Let's do its quarterly balance sheet and see what we're looking at here. Pretty much no cash on the balance sheet. They burn every quarter. This thing's going to need money. Careful with this one. When you get your gain, if you trade this and if you get your gains on it, be sure to put them in your pocket instead of giving them back to the house. Next one here is going to be ZKIN. This is ZKIN. ZK International. Let's take this thing popped over 550 here today. It's come back. It's beneath its VWAP. It's actually used its VWAP as resistance in the pre-market here today. So we want to see that turn around. That's going to be your first mile marker here. News came yesterday. We had a PR last night. Innovative tech leaders fuel momentum, milestone, and earnings and breakthroughs. This seems pumpy. I'm not going to lie. Here we go. ZKIN specializes in advanced piping solutions, producing double press and single press stainless steel and carbon steel tubes and fittings, along with stainless. There's nothing in here. This is just kind of a summary. I don't even think there's any news here. Careful with this one, folks. This feels pumpy to me. Short interest here, 0.65% of the float charted with 1.15 days to cover. This is a 5 million share float stock. On average, trades 1.5 million. Today, we've traded 20 million. Sure seems like something is afoot here on this one, but be careful. Okay. What else do we have here? NVVE. Okay, so this actually looks like something recent here is driving this. This is spiking on volume from $1 to above $2. Aha. Nuvei engages in crypto venture group to accelerate digital asset strategy. Oh no. Which coin is this adding to its balance sheet? Okay, so today it announced it is engaged in multiple leading digital asset advisory consultants to accelerate growth of its newly formed subsidiary. So my read through on this is they're hiring a advisory consultant to help them pick out a crypto. Is that the role will be central to building a sophisticated high growth digital treasury? Yep, that is exactly what this is here. So we can actually expect some more news on this here. This is going to be NVVE. So far, we're up 70% here. Looks like we printed a high here, 230, 229-ish. I've got the VWAP here at 167. Let's take a look at the daily chart and see if we can't figure out any levels from here. I'm going to give you a 13 crazy level. Okay, 13 crazy level here, 921. That comes from the 200 EMA on the daily. If this thing goes absolutely ham, that's going to be one of your levels here. It might also be worth noting that we've got another level in here, 510. That's going to be from the recent high there on February 28th, where that thing spiked. Like we had some more resistance up there in a high 4 handle. Okay, there you go on NVVE. Well, I'm sure, let's see, we had really nothing recently here. Maybe 213. Here we go. This 240 area. Yeah, let's call this 240 to 250. I think is going to be your next significant resistance area. 240 to 250. We really want to hold this 180 level, 180-ish, and then that crazy level at 921. There you go, NVVE. Okay, Day Trader says, I'm here for these companies adding Bitcoin to the treasury. Yeah, I bet you are. I bet that is really exciting. You want to take a look at Carvana? How much time do we have? 12 minutes? Yeah, Shayla Vega, let me add Carvana to the list here. Let me roll through a couple of more of these because I basically wanted to get, God, there's a lot in here. All right, I'm going to do this fast. CRVS, this is Corvus Pharma. This popped yesterday. Let's see if this popped on news. Yes, this had earnings yesterday. Looks like a miss on the EPS there, 13-cent miss. That missed by barely any. It was a 12-cent loss. Let's see. It was Target's expanded one of its drug trials with expected results. Mizuho reaffirms their buy, so stock's up 25% here. Announces data from cohorts 1 through 3 of its placebo-controlled phase 1 clinical trial for its drug for atopic dermatitis. That's the one that it got good data on, and reaffirming their buy rating from Mizuho. Mizuho, actually a really good firm here too. So this is actually pretty interesting. Let's see what the short interest is on this. 9.54% of the float shorted. That's actually something with 6.47 days to cover. That's on an average volume that's just shy of 1 million. We've already traded 1 million here today. This one might be interesting. This one might be interesting to watch here today. We've had pretty poor stock performance. I think the first thing that I'd really like to see here would be a recapture of the VWAP. Looks like it tried to trade around that 450 area before losing it here. Let's see if this firms up. I probably don't want to take a stab at. Let's see if this one firms up at all. If it gets back to that, recaptures that VWAP, or if it gets back to this 450 consolidation area, this news really actually seems pretty solid. So we'll see if this one can put in a move here today. CTMX, this is Cytum Therapeutics. They have earnings in 3 days here. So that's something immediately to pay attention to. Looks like yesterday, this is from Monday. Looks like they present preclinical data in the annual meeting. When is that annual meeting? Was that actually on? Okay. Nope. That was being held April 25 through April 30th. So this is over now. And now they PR'd here earlier this week that they're going to announce their financial results on May 12th. That's going to be Monday, right? Monday. And I think that was before the market opened. So today is your last day to position for the earnings report. That's interesting. Stocks up 21% here. I actually right away, we're going to definitely follow the trend lines. The trend lines have been giving us some pretty good guidance recently. Here you go. Anywhere along this trend line is going to mark one of the upside levels. Again, would really like to see this recapture 138, which is going to be that VWAP. We'll see if we can do that. Just shy of 140. Looks like that high here earlier was 153. That would be another notable level here. Short interest on this one is 12.03% with 7.37 days to cover. That actually might be a little bit squeezy here. Floats just about 80 million. On average, the stock trades 2.1 million. We've already traded 2.5 here today. So maybe we do have a little bit of squeeze here. Ticker CTMX. Okay, we did that one. ET, that's the Ether. There's nothing to cover here. Trade Desk, we talked about this one. This had blowout earnings, had some more re-ratings here. This looks like it's finally put the bottom in. 70 absolutely looks like a possible breakout level. The high from yesterday, 70.65. Trade Desk here. Again, I know we don't have Lion here yet, but he had talked about buying this yesterday. Someone else in the chat here today had said, I was thinking about buying this yesterday, but I opted not to. I was in the same boat as you, but the reality is that I did not feel good enough to hold it through earnings. So the chart was really setting up to look great, but we have this earnings event. My thought was, well, we'll wait and see what happens with the earnings event. Sure looks like the real good trade there was to maybe just take the risk for earnings. Here we are, plus 16% again. Sure looks like this is bottomed. We talked about a potential inverse head and shoulders on this chart as well. We had a trend down here that we broke, and it really kind of looks like we back tested this. Again, just to kind of emphasize that, let me draw the trend line here that we broke, that it looks like we're back, that we kind of back tested to put that bottom in. Man, this one is working. And remember where this thing came from. This thing had a high of 140. The other thing is that if you miss this bottom like me, do not despair. We do have a possible breakout through 70 here. But look ahead, folks. 85 is a potential gap area. 85.5. That gap doesn't fill till 118. So there is definitely more upside here that we could capture on Trade Desk. I have no position yet. I think the bottom is in. Giddy up. Next here, I want to talk about GPUS because we've been talking about this one a lot recently. Here's the chart from the last couple of days. We just talked with Mark about higher lows, didn't we? We just talked about higher lows. Look what this thing's doing. Hyperscale data shares are trading higher after the company disclosed its indirectly owned subsidiary launched a coin on the Solana blockchain on May 3rd. Yo, day trader, you got to be doing laps, victory laps around your place right now. The amount of Solana news that's driving stocks higher right now, probably more than I've ever seen. Maybe I'm just paying attention to it because it's a topic of conversation here. Nonetheless, looking pretty good. GPUS. Folks, we've seen this one go absolutely ham. Watch the breakout here at 925. Now, I guess 938 is the actual high on this candle. Let me get you that exact. Yeah, 938 is the exact high. Watch for a potential curl and break here. Yesterday's intraday high just shy of 10. I think $10 is on deck here today. I really do. I really think that this stock could print. I don't know if it's going to hold it. I don't know if it's going to do it. But if the last couple of days are any indication, this thing is going to try for higher. It's got some news behind it. Giddy up. Okay. We got 6 minutes. Last one here on the list that I wanted to talk about was Lyft, because we talk about Uber quite a bit here. Lyft shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q1 EPS results. Also, the company announced a $750 million share buyback plan. All good stuff here. Chart on Lyft actually looks pretty good. Jay, I'm curious, you've traded Lyft here before. What do you think about Lyft? Is this a trade for you? Are you looking for maybe a possible breakout here on Lyft? Looks like a pretty good report. No? Here's your daily chart on Lyft. We're currently sitting at 1451. Sure looks to my eye like we have some more resistance here in a 15 handle. Maybe we can get to 20 if we keep rolling. Sure looks like maybe we have a double bottom in here at 950. So this Lyft chart, pretty interesting. I know the TTD chart, we're pretty much all in agreement. Looks like we've put in a bottom. Maybe we've done the same thing here on Lyft. And maybe Uber's strength can actually benefit Lyft. Uber was downgraded this morning, by the way. Okay. Let me flip back over to the chart tool here. I think we're done going through the movers there. If there's any that we need to revisit, I'm sure we will throughout the course of the day here. If there's any 13 wants to revisit, I'll ask him when he's done doing his family duties. In the meantime, we're going to start here with Apple. Ticker AAPL. This was asked about recently. This story, still the same, right? This one has actually been fairly easy to digest or break down. In my opinion, been out of Lyft for a while, Ryan. I know, Jay. I know. That's why I'm asking you. Are you tempted to get back in? Let me know. Ryan, can you check the ticker gold? It changed to B and price, went up dramatically. Can you explain why? I didn't follow it, but I will do my best to take a look through it. We'll see if we can figure it out. That's ticker gold, Barrick Gold, the name of that company. We'll do that here shortly. For your Apple chart, clearly in a downtrend. This downtrend we have marked off on this chart from February of 2025. Realistically, if you want to say that this is connected to December of last year, I'm not going to fight you on it, even though the line doesn't go straight up there. We are currently in a downtrend, and this downtrend is actually being shadowed by the 50-day moving average, so we really want to break this trend. We tried to do that on May 1st, and we were unsuccessful. On this move back down, don't look now, the theme of the day here almost, but we've actually set a slightly higher low. Maybe we're curling around here. That also, since Liberation Day or Demolition Day, whatever you want to call it, several days after here, we now have several higher lows on Apple. Sure looks like the next thing that we're going to do here is attack this trend line. I've got a value that we should be looking at about 208. 211 is going to be your 50-day moving average. And then 215, I think, is about the high here. Yeah, 214 and a half, 215, your most recent high. Those are going to be some of your key upside levels there for Apple. So this is what we would try to look at. The full disclosure here, I've actually been taking, this might be the only stock that I've done this on, but I've actually taken the Kramer approach with Apple. I've owned it more than I've traded it. And that has worked for me. So I'm going to keep sticking with what works for me. Okay. We almost have, we have someone special. Thank you, producer. Producer's just out here getting stuff done. Let's bring on the special guest that nobody expected. 13, how you doing?
Oh, I'm the special guest?
I guess. Look, it's a Freaky Friday here, and it sure looks like the producer's going to help me out. And I'm just going to roll with it. Roll with it. All right, 13. We've got 2 minutes here. Was there anything that you wanted to look at all before we open up?
The only thing I would take a look at today was WBuy and SRXH.
Perfect.
The thing that, I mean, not really a whole lot to go on because you probably already covered these. It's just really interesting with that when it comes to WBuy. They have a float of 602,000 shares, but I don't see a reverse split, even though they are trying to file to do one. I think a 1 for 40 got shareholder approval. So, yeah, I don't know where the disconnect is between the low float and their need to, or their desire to do a reverse split with a float that low, unless it already happened and we just didn't, get a filing for it. I don't know. But anyway, it's low. It's low enough float that it's going to move around. So let's see what we get here in the next 30 seconds.
Okay. Also, one more thing. I didn't really cover this. I did nibble a starter position on Chewy. We kind of talked about that yesterday.
Nibbled on Chewy, huh?
I mean, look, I'm going to do what I can here.
Good morning.
I am looking for this to go to 40 just on general principle. I'm hoping that it pops above 40. I am long Chewy, small size here via calls. They are the June 40 calls, and I'm looking to add to that if we can. So there we go. We are open. It is a Friday. Let's have some fun here today.
SRXH wasn't waiting for the bell. It started rising into the open here, but now we're getting a little bit of a pull. I wonder if this sells off a little bit and then gets going again. So we'll see if we get some of that. What other stocks are you looking besides WBuy, SRXH, and I assume SYTA?
Yeah, XIII was also on the list here. I can get you that complete list. XIII, NVVE, which was breaking down. How's that doing? Okay, so NVVE, that's below the VWAP. And then the one that I thought actually might do something here was CRVS. This I thought might be interesting, but I'll tell you what, that stock performance, that's doesn't look great. Doesn't look great here. So CRVS also on that list, NVVE and XIII. Those were the three I think that you did not mention.
SRXH halted to the downside now. That just lost VWAP. So we had
fun
push into the open, and then we pulled. SYTA, this has a trend line here, so I'm just waiting to see if we get a break of that. By the way, speaking of trend lines, oh wow, look at this moving ASST. It's all to the downside.
Before I do that, I'm just gonna pat myself on the back. Chewy is ripping out of the gate here. Okay, sweet. Now ASST.
Now that you're done with that. GPUS is also starting to move here. That's beating the pre-market highs, 948, current high of the session.
NVVE, this might be bouncing here. I talked about wanting to stay above the VWAP. Now it becomes a VWAP recapture story. We want to see this volume continue to expand. Smoke Tuna's mentioning it. Are you giving it the blessing?
What?
I'm asking Tuna. Sorry, not you. WBuy is causing STFU to swear a lot. WBuy through the VWAP there. We talked about this maybe going to that high there, that pre-market high 1928.
All right, well, let's see what we get. It's pushing up now. It's still above VWAP. Let's see where it goes. It seems like everywhere is the answer so far. It's very spready too. Let's see here. It's almost like it's like $1 at points between the bid and the ask at times. So be careful with WBuy. Not going to be one you want to do a market order on. Yeah, it really is STFU. It's super whippy. It looks like it's trying to turn up, though. MACD is kind of giving me those vibes, but just keep in mind the RSI is also a little high on these smaller time frames. I do like that thought of going up.
So one of the things that I was talking about with WBuy, this is the one with the micro float, right? Yeah, the 602,000. One of the things that I was saying in my rundown here is that because of that float and also because of the price here, that this is likely going to be a tough stock to trade. In the pre-market, it was only spread 5 or 10 cents, but now it looks like that spread is really widening here. I've got a 20-cent spread pretty much consistently. And actually, it looks like that's spreading out to 30, 35 cents.
I was seeing $1 spread at points when it was
so I'm not alone. Okay, great. Okay, great. So my thought was that this was going to be a little more difficult, but it wasn't in the pre-market. Looks like it's starting to pan. Here it goes though, higher, going for that high here. Sorry, I know you called NVVE.
And it's up there at the pre-market high. So MACD was telling us it was looking to push up more. But after we break 19, I don't know what kind of run it's going to go on, but I think that break over 19 is going to be the kind of strength you want to sell into. I don't know how high it's going to go. I just got here, folks.
Yeah, no, you're good. I actually did do one. Hang on a sec. I gave a 13 crazy level.
Oh,
let me
geez.
figure out. I don't. You're like, oh, geez, ruining my reputation out here. Let me see if I can figure out which one that was. I might have been W by it. Yeah, it was W by 3014. The crazy level from the 200 EMA on the daily. Was there another one?
It's halted to the upside now. So here we go. This probably will unhalt, and it might end up just pushing past 19.
NVVE, the other crazy level. This was actually the one I gave out. Sorry. The crazy level here, 921. Again, 200 EMA on the daily chart there for NVVE. We'll see if we get that. Okay. So W buy halted at 1884 to the upside. That's very interesting. NVVE took out 2, might be going for the 228 pre-market high. The trade desk you guys are mentioning is up 20%. It's up 22%. Wow. So trade desk had that huge pop. Now some extension here. Lion Atlas might not be here because he might have retired.
Huh.
He had this, I believe, with calls yesterday. I think he bought those just yesterday. No, that was really good. Look, again, what kept me out here was the binary event of the earnings print. That is rewarding the option buyers. Seen a lot of option sellers be rewarded recently. Today, we're seeing it on TTD, the option buyers getting hooked up. CRVS, are we curling at all? No, we're still holding in there. Nothing on that one until we start moving to the upside. TMDX, I think someone mentioned this one earlier. I didn't cover it. They're trading higher after earnings and reaffirmed full-year sales guidance.
All right, so NVVE, thank you, Jay Walker. That just hit the pre-market high, printed slightly above it. I don't know how far this one goes to. But that's, let's see, SRXH is halted, WBuy is still halted. So SRXH should unhalt pretty soon. This halt's been on for several minutes already.
You said, oh, you know what? Yeah, 930. Boy, that was halted 41 seconds out of the open. Amanda here, there's no way Lion Atlas prints on this and then doesn't come tell us. Amanda, this was my thought exactly. I think he's got to be here. I think he's going to show up at some point before we sign off today.
I think we should, I mean, it needs better volume, but SYTA, I'm still watching for a break of this trend. Feel like it's going to happen, but it's probably going to need a little bit of time. There was another stock that had a trend that took all day to break. Which one was that? Let me see here. Because we drew it yesterday and we talked about it, and it didn't break it until like the end of the day. Webull is getting a move here. It just popped up to 1885, but came back in. What is that?
Envious is saying if TSLL hits 12, I'll cry. Envious, I may join you. Squirting some tears a little bit there. I had a second piece of a TSLL trade when we got that headline that Elon was going to step down from Doge a little bit and Tesla started to spike. I bought TSLL calls into that and then scalped some. I held a chunk that went against me. They were, in fact, the May 12 calls. Now, I'm under on that. I paid $1.30 for those contracts. The price is currently 60 cents. But, bro, if this goes up 70 cents or 60 cents and prints 12, I'm going to be able to get out of this. This thing was dead in the water. It was minus 95%. And here we are.
NVE is falling.
And VVE went right to that pre-market high area and pulled. Go. My blast from the past. Oh, I absolutely love this. I'm not making any money off of this, and I don't care. 13, I don't know if I've ever told you. This was probably my breakout trade of my career. In 2014, 2015, when I was still very, very new, I was loading up GoGo, thousands of shares in a low 3 handle, ended up selling it close to 20. It was easily my big trade. I haven't traded it since then just because it was so good to me. But now here we go. GoGo shares trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q1 financial results and issued full year 25 sales guidance above estimates. Go looking pretty good here today. Look at this. Look at this move out of this area. Mark Petrino, we just talked about this one. Mark Petrino said that this might be a resistance area. It's going right to it. Okay. I'm excited, 13.
I can't tell.
WBuy is open. WBuy is open. Higher.
There it is.
So we are above that pre-market area that you outlined, 13. There's 20.
That was easy. This is what we've been seeing. It's going to probably go into another halt. I mean, that would be my guess. And if it does, then it's the next. When it unhalts, it might take the next leg higher. And then after that halt, we'd probably see it come in.
Oh my God! Bang through that 2034 area. That happened. And there's only 9,000 shares traded there, but that happened quick. Now we're pulling. Tell you what, things change quickly in this one. WBuy. Grats if you're in this. I'm staying away from. My Friday's not going to get ruined by this. Forget that.
All right.
Amanda, out of her sold.
Nice.
Wait. What happened? Why did my thing not play?
Uh-oh. Yeah, WBuy, I don't know about knifing. It's pulling back, though. If it gets some support around like 1750 or the VWAP, that's about where I have it. It's actually 1740, but I'm looking at 1750. Then this might go higher.
All right, I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with my. You guys can hear me, okay, right? So my mixer's
just fine.
Yeah, my mixer. Let me see if.
All right,
SYTA. None of these samples are working.
Okay. SYTA might break out. It's testing this trend line again. It's up to the VWAP. Just need a little bit more volume. Take us through. Is ASST making some moves? It's halted to, okay, so, wow. ASST broad-sorted, and then it had a matching candle that took it right back up, and now it's halted.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a great time.
That sounds like fun. WBuy, by the way, coming in a little bit. I've got the VWAP there at 1728. We'll see if it holds that.
SRXH opened and it opened lower, tried to pop back up to VWAP, but was rejected. So this is looking like it might end up going under. Well, it's already under $1. It's probably going to fall even further, probably into the 70 cents range. Here we go with SITA. This is starting to break out of this trend line. Let's see if we get some follow through here, just to expand the volume a little bit more. Take out some of these sellers, like at 190 in particular. We're off.
SRXH completely rejected at the trend line. I tell you what, these trend lines have really held up. Here is your SYTA right at the V. You know what? We got another one here. Look at that. Let's see. Test is on, baby.
Yep.
I don't know why my sounds aren't working here. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
I want to hear them, though. They make me happy, so I'm a little pissed.
NVVE, that broke out of the pre-market highs. 244 now the high.
Tuna says, Ryan, I called NVVE. You could have joined. I can always join, Tuna. Of course, I know that. Pro saying the list. Are you guys? Is there an inside joke going on that I'm missing? NVVE is testing 250. That was another level that we talked about. We're right up at it. Crocodile Tummy bought NVVE because Tuna's a god. See, I'd play the cash register ring, but I can't. What'd you say?
Nothing. But NVS is up nearly 500%.
I know. On the TSLL calls. I love it. NVS keep cheerleading us higher. Also,
NVVE higher, 275. SITA trying to push higher as well.
Holy smokes here. Also, breaking news, PreMarket Playbook does not have enough likes on YouTube. Wall Street analysts are bearish, says more trouble could be on the way. There is one way to turn that around. That is smashing up the like button.
That'll do it. Hit that.
Boom, look at Market Sniper. There we go.
All right. Okay, let me look for some levels here on NVVE. I have no levels for any of these, so not taking too many trades quite yet. Wow, we just actually came up to a real interesting one. That's 775.
Ooh-wee.
315 might be the next one. 315, 320, and then NVVE. I also like 390. All right. So W buy still kind of coming in a little bit. That's okay. If it holds above VWAP, it be a good sign.
Look at Tesla. What a rip here. Tesla almost at 300. Remember when we were there? I shouldn't say we. Remember when there were folks calling this to go to 150 and 100? Those were good times. Tesla here looking like this is going to try and go higher. 300 test on deck. I actually have the next level here, maybe 310, but I think there's a bigger level up here, 328.
I have a level at 309, so I think your 310 is pretty good.
Okay, there we go.
I have 309 and then 325.
Okay, 325. 325 to 328, that's about the same area. We'll call that a dub-dub.
Dubbity-dub.
Dubbity-dub.
All right, NVVE still hanging out up here at the highs. 275 still the high, but it's in the 250s right now. I've got a pullback from SIDA, so I guess it's not ready for to close above the trend line yet. W buy still hanging out up here, trying to push up into 20. Well, I already printed it once. It's looking for a close above it now.
There's your 20. Man, they just threw a bid on there at 20. It soaked up all of those sellers.
And BIS has a new pre-market high. It's higher than yesterday's price. Actually, the high of the week, 28.93 in NBIS.
ASST went right back to that area at about 850 and stopped there, dead in its tracks.
Yeah, it's turning around, testing VWAP again.
There is a ton of stuff on this relative volume scanner. My goodness.
Lots of things could happen over the weekend. Here we go. SIDA is now over that trend line with this next candle trying to make a move higher.
Yeah, it is.
Just need more volume in this thing, and it'll do much better, I think.
Got to take a chill pill. Is that a Xanax, Envious? Is that what you're hinting at? LOL. TSLL still ripping. Tesla's still printing highs.
Here's W buy. It was just printing over 20 again. Looking for a close over 20.
2059 is the high print that I have.
And
yeah, Crocodile Dumb Me is saying, anyone noticed the sell-off with 15 minutes left yesterday? Yes, there was a very annoying sell program yesterday. Yes, we did notice that.
It's good for
we're actually, we're actually struggling to get above the level where that sell program started, by the way. Now that we're talking about it, might as well mention. Here, I'm going to just show you visually. Here's where it started. What?
W-Buy is going to halt.
2140 is going to be your halt price here if it holds. Here's where that sell-off started, right about 569. And that to me going to be a key level here, 568, the highest print. W-Buy is, in fact, halted here, 2140.
NVVE just printed a new high, 5 cents higher, 280 now. SRXH, I'm not even sure we're going to see much out of this one until later. If
Look at the trade desk continuing to go. Did you trade this for earnings? I know we talked about it. I stayed out of it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, damn.
I can't be in everything.
I know. I feel the same way. Binary events, I generally like to let them pass, but damn, trade desk here was awesome.
I think, I mean, to me, if this goes up to 80, like today, I think the trade, I mean, I don't know. It depends on your time frame, but for how much it's run up in a short period of time, I'd expect there to be some pullback after we hit 80, or even maybe a little bit sooner than that. I mean, the RSI on the daily chart is it's at 77. We're pretty extended. It doesn't tend to stay up here too long when we get this high up. So I think there's going to be some pullback coming. Maybe as early as today, probably most likely next week. We are going to get a silver cross though, so that's good for the upside.
Real quick here, VRTX. This is one to maybe keep on the watch list here. This thing moves pretty quick. The options are liquid. They can really pay out. If this thing puts in a bottom, a move back towards this 500 level might be on deck. So I don't know if it's going to happen here today. I'm just saying, put it on your radar. That might flash a buy signal. Tuna, I'd actually like to know what you think. You've been so red hot recently. Tuna and Jay, You think there are any decent buy, or really anyone? You think there are any decent buy levels here? VRTX. I've made some pretty good money on this one before. I want to do it again.
Are we thinking that SoundHound is not the junky company that we thought it was? We thinking
Well, I
that now?
think the stock performance here post the Nvidia thing is encouraging, but frankly, 13, I don't know what to make of this.
Well, because we were looking at this yesterday in happy hour and looking at the earnings and looking at what companies actually use SoundHound, and to our surprise, a whole bunch of them actually do. You know, if you're going through a drive-through at any point in your, in the past week, you probably talked to SoundHound AI.
Okay, well, just looking at the daily chart here, we got a couple of things we can pay attention to. Sure looks like this 1050 11ish area might be a potential breakout spot, possible inverse head and shoulders here if this holds. We have a pretty well-defined range on the move back down from some of the highs, so maybe this can stand alone on itself. We just had earnings and they weren't terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So didn't they reaffirm?
Yeah.
Yeah, they affirmed. Yeah, so they affirmed their sales guidance. The estimate was about in the middle of the range that they affirmed. So this is all pretty positive here. And again, that's without the Nvidia help. I know that was the initial boost, but I don't think they're involved anymore.
James Wong mentioning Rocket Lab. That's lower today. Probably giving some opportunities to pick it up. I think this is off of earnings. Yeah, they had earnings yesterday. So they're still looking to do a Neutron launch in 2025. That's great because we need them to do that. That's their larger rocket that they are planning on using. They have a smaller one they currently use. That's called the Electron. So Neutron is their larger one that's going to be more competitive with SpaceX. Partnered with U.S. Air Force for Neutron launch. That's totally expected. They kind of guide. I guess it's the guidance because the estimate was for 136.82 million, and they guided 130 to 140. So that guidance, most of it's on the lower end of the expectations. So I guess that's why we're getting a pullback here. Should create some buying opportunities.
I love it. 13. That was literally going to be the next question I was going to ask, and you went there by yourself. Love it. So this could represent a buying opportunity.
Yeah, I think I think Rocket Lab's a good company. The valuation might be high, but I think it's going to grow into that.
I think you might even be able to wait out 20 if you wanted to be a little bit more conservative.
NVVE looking like it's gearing up to push higher, maybe into 3. Got a little bit of a pullback in SYTA after breaking through the trend line. We're going to want to see a little bit of pullback before we get the next move up. Ideally, we'd like to see this take out the pre-market high. WBuy 23 now. Geez, if you decided to go in on this, you just had to not look at it because whipping around might have scared you out.
And it did pull back one time towards the VWAP, never printed it, but launched from there.
All right. Well,
Ryan just sent you a report. Thank you, Tuna. I will check that out when I get a chance. Did you email that to me?
Or 3175 is the 200 EMA on the daily chart. Looks like we're about to halt here in WBuy as well.
This would be the second halt, no? Trading halt, trading resume.
I think the second. It's either the second or the third.
It is the third. Okay. I beg your pardon. This will be the third halt. We are halted to the downside. 2020 WBuy.
All right, here we go. SITA. Now that I guess WBuy is halted, attention is going to be diverted elsewhere. SITA could be the one that the traders look at. Big wall of sellers at 2 and 202. We take those out, we might see that pre-market high.
Tuna, did you send that via Twitter, email? I don't see it anywhere yet. I do want to check out that report, though. SYTA, this is a really good call on that trend line break that we identified in the pre-market.
Yep, here we go.
It's at 2. Sure looks like 220 might be your next spot there.
It's got to get through. It's chewing at the sellers at 2. There's a lot of concentration of sellers at 202, and then the final bulwark is at 210. And then it's a lot less sellers up until 225, where the highs were of the pre-market.
Okay. Guys, I'm still seeing Tesla call. This is literally flirting with the $300 psychological level right now. I am seeing calls getting bought right at this level.
GPUs now hit a session high of 974. The high from yesterday was 994. We're 20 cents away, and we could actually not only break out of that level, but go on a bit of a run. Let me just get some levels here where I think that run might run into some resistance. That looks interesting. All right. Okay, so here's the thing about the GPUs. We're still trying to deal with this consolidation from let's call it April to July of last year. There's just been a lot of bottoming action right around the 950 to the 980 area, with much of the concentration of consolidation between 950 and 880. I'm sorry, 1185. So it could be a lot of choppiness if we do end up getting into that channel, a lot of back and forth between those ranges before we go higher or break down, or we could outright get rejected right here at this 9 to 10 area. But we're trying to push into it as we speak. So we'll see what we end up getting. It's just going to take a lot more volume than what we have right now.
Okay, good stuff there. Luke Dew saying, I feel like GPUS is risky now. Luke, it sounds like we're kind of saying the same thing, right? We're at a resistance level. 13 was just telling you there's a number of things that can happen here. And some of them include breaking down or being straight up rejected. And we've actually seen that. Smoke Tuna mentioning NVVE is not done. This actually does look like it might try and retest some of those highs there. I've got that high print exactly at 280. 280.
What's that figure? Nope, not gonna hit that one. Okay, so one of the highs that we've made in recent times when it comes to NVVE was back in February, basically the end of the month, when we got up to 502. So that's literally a 2x from here.
Okay.
Side up hold.
Looks like it's flagging here. Good morning, Sydney. Nice to see you, Sydney. Sydney, whatever happened with Tidewater? Whatever happened with TDW?
Hey, take care, Wisdom. Have a smashing weekend yourself.
I like the term smashing weekend. Okay, real quick here. Sorry, 13. I'll get back to it here in a sec. Sydney, it's good to see you. Thought we lost you after a couple months ago. Anyway, I know you had talked a lot about Tidewater here. I remember you first talking about it on the show in a 30 handle. Thing went to 110, but now it's pulled back to 40. So what do we think is happening next here? Ticker TDW. Higher, lower, chopping around? What do you think? Good to see you again. Oh, we had a Supreme Court justice pass away. Yeah. 13, let me, I'm going to step away for just 1 sec here. I'm going to make sure I'm not sniffling anymore. BRB.
No problem. Looks like we're getting a sell-off here in NBIS now after hitting 29.08. It's that $29 level was important to that stock. Also, we're getting a mention that SIDA was pulling back. It did hit that, hit the $2, and then it pulled back a little bit to the VWAP. As long as we hold above VWAP and the trend line, I think we're still okay to maybe see some more upside here. But, we're going to see some periodic profit taking after some of these moves. So that's okay if we sell a little bit here, but we don't want to reverse and start making new lows. I think it'd be not great if we just started trading beneath the trend line, but we're not close to that yet. Not in this one right now. Just I was trading it. I left when we hit $2. NVVE, that's coming back in. This looks like it might actually start to roll over if it loses, I'd say 220. That'd be the level for me to watch, that I'd be watching for. If we lose that, I think we could continue to drift lower. Rocket Lab, that went down to 2092. Looks like the selling has slowed down a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's finished. We'll see where we finally bottom out at. Tesla's pushing 303, says Dugan. W buy gap down, really. Oh,
Dugan
it's
is
great.
yes, Dugan. Welcome. I'm back at the same time. Dugan, great to see you. Tell you what, Dugan, one of the only people that supported my bottom, my possible bottom being in call. Dugan, you're the real G, bro. You're the real G. All right, sorry, 13. Go ahead.
No worries. So yeah, we got W buy opened and it gapped down, but it just filled that gap in no time at all. And we're just kind of waiting to see what it does. If it's going to go higher into 20 or if it's going to lose that level. $19 is the support area, so that's where we just came down to. That was a good buy spot. You would have let's see, you would have made $2 on this just this 5-minute candle here out of that unhalt.
SYTA trying to back test the trend line that we snapped, also trying to hold here at VWAP at 177. This actually might be something. If this holds here and the volume continues to show or expand, you actually might have another move. $2 and then 227 going to be your high spot there.
Don't look now, but W buy is still very much alive. That $19 support was providing some good help there, but still very choppy. We could get it, and it's very low float, so this could easily just go right back down through 20. Just be very careful with it. Make sure you have your stops, folks.
TSLL continuing to rip. Boy, I can't believe I'm going to get bailed out of this. I cannot believe it.
NVIS is doing better than some of these movers today. He's up 750%.
Chewy is ripping higher.
So it's not really chewy, it's chopping. It's consuming.
Please give us this 40 breakout. Please give us this 40 breakout, 13.
That's that's not what I was looking for. I said I agreed with you. We're going to 40. I do not know what's going to happen.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I agree. We're just a bag of agreement here because I also think it's going to 40. I'm just hoping that we get a pop and run above 40. That would make this trade so good. We front ran it a little bit so we can get into the green, but I want a good trade. Let's break out from 40.
CA Forsman is shorting Disney at 105.53. I think you've been really good on playing Disney, both the upside and downside.
Here, let me put it on the screen for you. Sorry.
No worries. So let's see here. Chewy. Okay, well, RSI on the daily is 68.53. So we get to 40. I gotta wonder if we see any pullback or if we just kind of rip up to, let's see, maybe 42.5. Don't know. All right, here we go with SITA starting to pull back even more. Still, it's trading beneath VWAP, but we haven't lost the trend line yet. NVVE, this is still trying to push up, but has not gone to revisit the 280 high yet.
All right, let me clean some stuff up here real quick. Zach asking, Ryan, how is your CEP trade? CEP trade is closed. We stopped out of the remaining half of this yesterday. See how it kind of ran and flushed to those shorters. Interestingly enough, this is down here today. Remember, the first sale here was like plus 300% on this. We paid, I think, $150 for these contracts, and we were selling them at $4 a piece. So this trade worked. I was stopped out yesterday of the remaining half of this trade. I have no position in it. It is moving down here today. So if you held on to it, that's awesome. The contracts that we had expired next week. So there was still another week on this trade. Totally possible that this thing reprints in the 20s next week. But I have no position as of right now. I consider it a success. We made a ton on one half and about flat on the other half. STFU saying, Ryan, when Tesla breaks 294, 60% of the time it goes straight to 304. Is that an Anchorman reference? 60% of the time it works.
It works every time.
Joe Pito saying, any thoughts? Oops, clicked on the wrong comment. Any thoughts on donut? Okay, D-nut is going to be Krispy Kreme. My first thought here is these things are heart attack rings, and as delicious as they are, I just can't really eat them anymore. I'm just too worried about my health. I know. Sad trombone. I'm boring. The stock, on the other hand, awful. So they make good donuts, but this stock has been so bad. I don't even think I've ever been able to make money on this stock. Even for the memes or the lulls, I haven't been able to make money on this stock. Look at this chart. This looks like death. Is this the death formation 13? What's the name for this formation?
Let me look at my chart here. I'll consult
Like, I'm not looking at your stupid chart that doesn't have data past 24. By the way, I pulled up one of my earlier ones, and I saw all that data that we couldn't find yesterday. So I don't know what the hell's going on.
It looks like the stock is losing weight along with everybody else.
GLP-1s, not time to buy D-Nut.
I think pretty much it's. I think America's more on that healthy theme right now, so they're not going to Krispy Kreme.
Oh, the producer, he thought he was going to make it, but he wasn't. Oh my God, we almost made it to the end of the week without more food talk, and now we're talking about more delicious, freshly glazed Krispy Kreme donuts. Producer, can you get Krispy Kreme across the pond? Forgive my American ignorance. I don't even know if you can.
More selling inside.
If he's going out to buy a box, you can. Wonder if there's tariffs on those. Asking for a friend. JK.
It depends on where they're made.
I was just being a smartass, to be quite honest with you. So, okay.
Me too. I can raise you a jackass.
Oh, I know. Which stock are you looking at here? Let's get back down to brass tacks.
W buys is flirting with 23. Sideshow is just making $50 at a time.
Yak Shamash. Bardza Dobje is the answer. Look at this. 9 of 9. Nice job. Smoke Tuna. He's reading between the lines there. Krispy Kreme is worldwide. Okay.
Looks like Zekin is trying to get back up here. Might need some more time. Volume's not that great, but the MACD is starting to show us some curling.
Ryan, any thoughts on AMGN at this level? I want to play it for a bounce. Let's take a look. I'm always up for some new trading ideas, Mazur. Or Michael, excuse me.
ASST and GPUs both selling off here. New lows.
All right. So here's a pretty decent AMGen chart. This does actually look like we're kind of at the lower end of the range. So for a swing long here, these areas definitely need to hold up. I want to call this like a double bottom, but it really isn't. This 260, 250, 260 area needs to hold. So we're looking at 271. I'd probably look at a potential trade here with a stop against that 271. 13, what do you think here? This looked like this death crossed, and then it kind of swung back. It looked like it tested it, but it couldn't quite break through it here. I'm not sure we can really take anything from this. Can you?
That looks bearish.
This looks bearish to you. Okay, so in that case then, I really think that we want this to hold maybe this 260, 261 area on Amgen. Maybe you can kind of wait this out, see what happens. You're going to scale in, I would nibble now and just kind of stop beneath that so you don't get too hurt. Do think at some point we're going to have another 300 test on this. What was that?
Look at the daily chart starting since May.
It is.
Okay, so yeah, that looks like a head and shoulders to me.
So you're thinking, I was thinking, okay, that's interesting. So you're thinking right here, and right here. Okay. Yeah. That looked a little off. Mark Petrino just talked about some of these formations this morning, saying that, they're not always perfect. So maybe you're onto something here. Maybe we got to, let's wait out a 260 test on this.
Yes, exactly. 260.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Okay. There we go.
What I think will happen, and I'll tell you if you're going to get this head and shoulders resolution, if we go down to 260 and we do not hold that for, let's say, a week, then we're going to get that resolution of the head and shoulders, and you'll have better buying opportunities down lower under 250, maybe even in the 220s.
Okay.
All right. So W buy, guess what? This thing is blasting off. 24.75 is the high now. Looks like Rocket Lab's trying to find a bottom. SIDA still hanging out here in the 170s, trying to recapture VWAP. GPUs, jeez, that is awful.
Look at W buy, dude. This is going to that impulse high here in the 26 handle.
And meanwhile, GPUs is going down to the low from yesterday.
GPUS.
Yeah, 740.
Yeah, this is a hands off for me. Hans, long QBTS. Hans, is this a, did I just, I typed the wrong ticker in there. My bad. Hans, is this a swing? Is this a day trade? Nice little break of yesterday's intraday high. I'm a little late to this. You probably bought this a little bit closer to that actual break. We've got the expanding volume that we love. Hans, this doesn't look bad at all. What is it? Okay, so this is really, so let me know what the time frame of this trade is, because I think that's going to matter on what we do here. You looking for a break at 12 here at this triple top? Let me know. Thanks on the Amgen views. You got it, Michael. Keep me posted on how that trade goes if you take it. I don't trade Amgen a lot. I'd like to know how you do on that.
SRXH searching out new lows. W buy pulling back from the 24.75 high. That'd be wild if it went up to the 200 EMA on the daily.
Breakout day trade. Okay, so you're going to be done with that today. Okay, so we'll know then for sure. And if that thing breaks 12, giddy up, you'll take it. If not, giddy up, you'll take whatever gains you have.
NVVE is either going to break over like 260 pretty soon and go up to 280, maybe even higher. If it can't, then we're likely going to see this begin to come in. MACD is at that point where it's either going to roll over or just continue to move up, higher. Just here we go. We're hitting this 260 area in NVVE. They just took it out.
This is going here. You know what else is Tesla calls getting bought. Wow. They are, you know what? Let me again put the filter on here. Greater than or equal to 100 contracts in that. There was a lot of Tesla. Boy, it's still a lot of Tesla calls being swept up. It is still going. Actually, they're throwing some puts in there too.
Be careful with NVVE. There needs to be a lot more volume than this. I feel like if at some point it's just going to pull right out from underneath us. We need better volume than this, folks. But it's nice that it's moving up. Just make sure you're protecting yourself here with this one.
I like it. Zach, love this. Absolutely love this. End of week 2 with the pre-market playbook tribe.
All right.
Thank you for more than just simply making money, helping us properly understand the technical analysis. Loved Petrino this morning from Galveston Money Signs. Galveston, that's your neck of the woods, is it not? 13. Good to hear. We have Mark Petrino on every Friday morning, by the way. You said this is the end of week 2. Last week I was out of town and I think I butchered it. I think I told Mark that I wasn't going to be here, and I think he assumed that there wasn't going to be a show. That's my fault. Won't do that again. Mark Petrino comes on every Friday morning, Zach. So be sure to come back and see him. We love comments like this. Also, if you have feedback on something that we can do to improve this, definitely receptive to that. Let me know. Glad you are enjoying yourself.
Some of these. Here we go.
Nobody should be surprised, but all the Tesla ETFs are on the relative volume scanner. Sorry, 13.
GPUs. We looked at that 740 area from yesterday. That providing a bounce. The GPUs is coming out to the 200 EMA, which is about 208. I'm sorry, 808. I'm not thinking this is going to, go on to recapture the high of the session, but there's, at least a bounce play here if you want to take the risk.
Love this. Jay here. TMDX. This is that Transmedics. TMDX here. Buy the dip in this one if you get any. So first of all, this is interesting, Jay, because it sure looks like we're trying to fill this gap up here to 125. You know what this reminds me of? Yeah, if you said TTD, you were right. We talked about this really kind of making this bottom and then this huge gap that we might be trying to get. That kind of reminds me, TMDX kind of reminds me of an advanced chart of TTD. Interesting stuff there. Appreciate it. Jay, I don't have this, but I'm gonna factor this in.
They had a massive earnings report.
Yeah, they did. Stock's up 22% on the back of that earnings report, and the sales guide above estimates.
Their EPS was 70 cents. They beat the 25-cent estimate. Their sales beat by almost 20 million. This is great. And it's got a huge short interest too.
Price target raise. Jay, you might be onto something here. Jay, I appreciate you giving this. Oh my God. Look at the size of the short interest on this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hans, already on Jay's call here, bought some TMDX as a swing. I love it. Pete saying Galveston, great city in old style beach town. That is sick. I don't think I've ever been to Galveston. 13, I got to get down there and visit you. We got to get that done.
Ready to experience some real freedom?
America.
Now
watch this draft.
TMDX. Okay. TMDX. Yeah, now watch this draft. TMDX is moving over its VWAP.
Yo, look at this. This is a Friday of, I can't believe my sound doesn't work. What on earth is going on? Thank you guys for the TTD tip. I've made some good change in and out. That's awesome. We've actually been talking about TTD for some time. Glad you're able to make some money off that. That's amazing.
And there we are with NVVE.
When I get 13 on my side, it makes me feel better. Oh, there we go.
I do appreciate you taking the opposite side of things, though, Jay, because you do give me things to think about.
Yeah, frankly, I think sometimes I need more of that for myself. And so I can definitely appreciate that. There are several of you that make me rethink things, and I think that actually makes me better in the long run.
I feel like that'd do everybody some good if they just didn't outright reject whatever is said and just kind of, pondered or thought about it a little bit before making a decision. I don't agree with everybody on here, but I do think about things that they say. And sometimes they lead me down the rabbit hole into finding more trade ideas or maybe changing the way I think about certain trading strategies. So it's always helpful, even if you don't agree with what's being said. SIDA is still trying to push up here back into the 180s. It's actually in the 180s right now. Looking for $2 again. That's been the resistance area so far.
That's SYTA.
Yes, sir.
Now we're getting, do I redo this trend line with the other high?
No, I'm leaving it on there. Because I think at this stage, we're looking for this to move above 2.
Okay.
W buy starting to look like it's making the next move up to 25, actually. Here comes 24.
Oh, Oost. Ooster printing 11. We used to have a regular here, Sally, that used to trade this all the time. You were saying which one? Sorry, I was rolling through tickers.
I was mentioning W buy.
W buy.
Mm-hmm. And looks like we're getting a little bit better movement here with SIDA. Come on, give us 2. There's a big concentration of sellers at 2, and they keep growing. So could get rejected at 2, but man, if the volume really does expand up there, I think those sellers could get taken out.
Jay mentioning LEU here. This is another one of Jay's favorites. Every dip buy since earnings. Wait, what? Every dip. I think what you mean is every dip got bought since the Wednesday earnings. I guess it's only one day of data there, but that also looks pretty strong. That and TMDX both look strong.
So NVVE is still getting some support from VWAP, but I don't think it's going to be enough unless we get some large inflow of volume to help lift this higher. MACD is not looking great either, but I'm still not discounting it yet, but I'm just saying be very careful here because it has all the hallmarks of it wanting to roll over. And what else is moving here that looks good? So there's that move over VWAP with TMDX. So that's already looking good today. A little pull here in SIDA. SRXH finally made it down to the 200 EMA and the 65 EMA. We'll see if it can get some support there.
Boy, that just used. Look at this trend line. That just told the story here.
And it could just be that that's going to get broken later. We saw. I wish I could find the one that we were looking at yesterday that had the same. Had a trend. Oh, here it was Zekin. So even from the after hours yesterday through the pre-market through the regular session, we just stayed underneath the trend line for the most of the day, and then at almost before power hour started, we broke out of that trend line and we blasted off.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it was this. Yep, it was this.
Yeah, that's the one. So just because we draw a trend line and it doesn't do it when we were hoping it doesn't mean it won't do it later. Because holy cow, what a move that was! That took out everything.
Take a look at BTMD. This was the earnings play that we had talked about. This now above 4.
Yep. And that was a super interesting company. If there's any pullbacks on that, I'd be interested in that as well.
I'll be honest with you. I did kind of what you did here on this. I kind of just played it for earnings because I didn't have a lot of it and I didn't really do my full research, and I got a gain and I was like, you know what? Why don't we just ring the register on this one? Here we are at 4. Scott, glad that maybe hopefully you benefited from this.
Yeah, and Andy was unsure about it too, and so if he hadn't done enough research, and that's not really going to be good on me if I just jump in it with him, kind of halfway thinking about it. But when I was looking at it, it seemed like a really good idea. Liked the insider buying, liked where it was bottoming at, liked that it was running up into earnings.
I mean, the insider buying timing too pretty much told the story, didn't it? I mean, yeah.
Yes, sir.
S&P futures right here at unchanged at the moment. Tesla, by the way, did pull off that high. Set a high up there about what, 307?
NVVE just got that
new highs.
Just got that bid we were talking about, bounced off of VWAP. Somebody finally came in and took out those sellers. So we got all the way up here to 294. That's also a break of the trend from 950 to now. Let me see where this could go. I don't know that we're gonna go to this this crazy level of 1132, but I could definitely see $5. See that being a possibility.
I had 922. 922 is a crazy level. Here we are halted at 294.
So we're getting some pull here in W buy. Let's see if you think it's done. It's the MACD starting to roll over. It's still above VWAP. I think if we lose 19 and continue to close under there, then I'd say that's done. Maybe it comes back later in the day, but for this session here and what we're trading while we're on the show probably is going to be done. But I'm going to need to see that $19 lose that level. And here we are trying to bounce, so we might not be done. We'll see. And looks like not really looking at it too much of anything right now. So we're gonna have to wait for NVVP to unhalt. TMDX still above BWAP. We're getting some real good selling here in the broader market. So that's going to be about the time where I look over to these directional ETFs and see what kind of distance we're at. Right now, the TQQQ is about 40 cents away, not nearly enough for me to want to go long yet.
Okay. Thanks for the reminder there. I do see the market turning around here.
And we're approaching.
There's so much other action I had forgot about it.
And we're approaching 10:30, so volume is going to start leaving. Let me see if there are any headlines that are pulling this market.
While you're doing that, Charles is asking us to look at Sezzle, which after its huge move recently is up another 8% here. So man, this what was the move that we gave on this? This thing was up 42% post earnings, 42%. And now we got another 8% here today.
We're really starting to accelerate some more selling here. TQQQ losing the 200 EMA.
S&P futures here still at about flat. We actually haven't gone red yet, but it sure looks like we're going for a green to red move here. Real quick, in the spirit of Anne-Marie, who we won't have today, advancers to decliners at 750 on the positive side. This is down from the high. We had that at about 1065. So advanced to decliners started off all right, but coming in a little bit. Breath here, green across the board, except for Dow, which has negative.
So Joseph Schmo, he's into NVVE at 180. You're doing great. But he doesn't have any round trips to make on his margin account, so he'd be holding at least the weekend. Now, when it comes to these movers, I really want to make sure you exercise an abundance of caution, because these are companies that typically don't make money. They have revenue, but they're not profitable. NVVE is one such company. They lose millions each quarter. So, and they don't have a lot on the balance sheet. That could mean that there's going to be a capital raise coming soon. So when it comes to these movers that are these low float names, be very, very careful. At least have a stop out, so that if it does come in on you, you're not holding it back. We talk about this all the time. Be very careful with these movers and holding them for longer than the day.
Yeah, so Joe, I think what he's talking about here is that he is still battling the pattern day trader restriction. They claim that it helps people. I call BS on that. I think it's stupid. Anyway, it seems like he's battling that here. Yeah. One tip that I will say, I haven't done this obviously in years, but one of the things that I used to do, and I did this a couple of times with the same broker. Again, I don't know if this still works. The first time I exited a trade and I closed it and my balance was like 24/7. I was just shy of that thing and they locked my account for 90 days. I called them and I was like, look, guys, I had one of the stocks that I bought made a run that I just did not expect. I was $300 short. Can you just lift it? Do I really have to sit out for 90 days and not be able to use my account? And they let it go. And I didn't make another day trade. Eventually got above 25 and I was able to day trade again. So they will do that. But again, this is years ago at this point. I don't know if they still do that. Joe, that might be something for you to consider. Generally speaking, there's nothing more important than profit. So if you're having a ripper that's up 160%.
It looks like he's managing his risk really well. He's only in 100 shares. So okay, that's good. I just didn't want you to be in there for like thousands and risk holding it back. But seems like you got your risk management under control.
Yeah. I think it hurts more people than it helps. Amanda, I 110% agree with you. I feel like when you're new to this, one of the things that's really helpful is learning how to be able to get in and out. And I think that by them forcing folks to have a certain amount of money that they might not be able to accrue when they're new to this, you're missing, like they're basically telling you need to hold everything, and that's not actually true. They will usually give you one reset,
and here it goes, making its way up higher through 3 now. We're churning towards 5.
Okay. While we were having that discussion, good input there from the group. First of all, Smoke Tuna saying this might see 5. And then STFU reminding us here, the market is falling here across the board. So I've got SPY on the screen here. NASDAQ at the lows, Dow at the lows. What were you saying?
Look at the SQQQ. We just took out the after hours and pre-market highs. We're going into yesterday's session. It looks like 29 could be a spot where that stops. I mean, that's all going to be dependent on the broader market, but this is something I'm looking at here with the SQQQ. It's absolutely ripping right now, but that's setting up the QQQ nicely.
Now, I do have the 35 calls for next week, but those are so obliterated. I'm not even sure if those are going to come back. Those are 10-cent ask. I had them bought at 28 cents. So I might end up losing that one. We'll see. I'm actually not very exposed to this move because those are not appreciating the way that I would like them to.
SYTA, we're starting to lose some levels here. We're coming down to the 65 EMA, which would be at about 140, 141. I think that's where we're headed next. NVVE, that just popped up to 312. That's pulling back a little bit. We're going to want to see this hold. I think we want to see this hold 260. W buy also coming in. Looks like everything's coming in right now, which is fine.
Yeah, it sure does. It sure looks like that. My Google calls, those might be in trouble.
Okay,
especially since STQQ has kind of moved out of the range. What a bummer.
Yeah, we were $1 away in the TQQQ, so we're getting to that area pretty quick. Let's see. So we're going to want, I think maybe somewhere around 58.40 might be a good area. If we even get down there, that'd be probably. So we got down to 58.81. So we were about $1 away. I'd like to see a little bit more of an extension down though. And we watched. This is great yesterday when we did this. Cida's done to smoked tuna. Maybe. I mean, it's. I think there's several things that need to happen first for me, but it might be actually. You know what? I think you're right. We just lost this uptrend that we're in. So yeah, probably coming down to 140, maybe even lower.
STFU here saying that the Bank of America news on SPY, 5% Treasury yield could force Trump to slash tariffs in Q2. That comes from Bank of America's Hartnett. I don't know if that's what's driving us down here. That is the most recent news there, though. That would just mean that traders are going to be looking at the 10-year, right? The Treasury yield.
TMDX lost VWAP coming into the.
We're going to get our dip to buy there.
You might, but I think if we're going to look for a viable dip, I probably want to get it lower than the low that we had today.
Me too.
Yeah.
The stock's still up 21% today. We want to talk about dips. We want to talk about real dips here. And
NVVE still trying to push higher, but still hasn't taken out the 312 yet. All right. Meanwhile,
they're doing a remembrance of Bob Pisani here on CNBC.
SPY getting a little bounce here. Now, this could end up being a bear flag that we ultimately get here on the SPY. So just keep that in mind. I'd wait. It probably will take about 15 minutes for this to show up, but I think that we may end up resolving lower. I just need to see a little bit more of this price action here. Now we're getting a bounce in TMDX. Ivan asking about RH recovering. Honestly, we actually might, just looking at the chart here, a break above 202 might have a gap fill up to that 235 spot. So, okay, Pete, so that's what's going on. Thank you. So he's leaving after 35 years. What's he doing next, though? You know? Have they said? Good on CNBC for doing this. I've actually watched Bob for a long time. I appreciate him, too. Let me know if he is the last day one person on CNBC. Interesting. Okay, sorry for the digression there. Appreciate that, Pete. Do you know where he's going next, or is he actually going to retire and enjoy himself? GoGo might be trying to go back for highs, $11 there. W buy, this also bouncing 24-ish, looks to be the high area there. Here we go.
SRXH, that is still following the trend line to hell.
Here's NVVE polling now, looking for some support at 260. SIDA looks like it's about ready to take the next move down. Might find support at 140, but we'll see. There's a lot of sellers piling in above 165 now.
Pete, you think we get some tears here? We taking bets on whether or not Bob cries here? I would, man. 35 years, I would. They do something like that for me, I'd be bawling like a baby. All right, sorry, 13. I know you're focusing here on trades. I'm watching this remembrance thing. It's sentimental. I think he's going to do spot appearances on CNBC, just not full time. Okay, perfect. That's better than the alternative. So the tech move down here has really hurt a lot of these tech names. The notable one that is outperforming is still Tesla. But man, even Netflix getting hit on this tech move down. Apple at the lows. Google is sunk. Okay.
Yep. Looking for something here. Volume is really starting to leave some of these names. SRXH finally getting some signs of life, but volume's still very low.
Let's extend this trend line out here. Well, we really need that thing to get above the trend. I can't believe that thing was $1.40 earlier today. TMDX, by the way, I know we had just kind of been talking about that one. That's just really kind of holding here at the VWAP. Still waiting for a little bit more of a dip there. Devs, wasn't this off the list with Tuna and Crow? This Devs? I know it's a penny stock. It did rip off the bottom there. I could have sworn one of you folks mentioned this one. Oh, Crocodile. Joe's the best on the I would probably stop watching CNBC when Kernan retires. Honestly, he's my favorite part of the morning. Keeps all those clowns in check. Yeah, what were you saying?
I was just going to say, WBuy had a nice bounce, but I think we got to be very careful with this one here with volume leaving the market. The volume on this particular stock is really starting to wane. I don't want to say it's not going to suddenly break out because we've seen how these could do it, especially when you have a low float stock such as this one. But man, is it looking weak.
Here's the trend.
And here we go with NVVE. That's trying to push up higher.
This also starting to form a trend. Now, we really want this to get back above 3.
SIDA still trying to hang in there, but...
Fathom Pharmaceuticals. Tuna, were you on this one earlier? I know this lost the VWAP. We got another trend here, actually. Boy, I tell you what, these trend lines have really kind of been jumping out. We'll see if we get above that here. What did this one do? Clinical stage biopharma. Firm is focused on developing and commercializing novel treatments for gastro or GI diseases. Okay.
Oh, hey, thank you, STF. You actually didn't give us enough of a formation, but that's okay because it's still bearish. Yeah, so this thing, SPY's still selling off. We're getting pretty close to where
sure is.
It's going to be super.
Right. Let me throw that up here. That's a good call. You're doing. You know what? I'm actually going to put TQQQ in a chart off the screen so I can force myself to look at it. Good Lord, you're exactly right. We are now $1.10 away.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's see. What's your VWAP at? Because mine's at.
I've got my VWAP here at 59.68.
Okay, mine's at 59.69. Perfect. So we're going to probably be looking at about 58.15 as a good spot to pick up some shares. Maybe a little bit higher than that, maybe a little bit lower than that. It depends on how you want to get into this. Because one of the things we saw yesterday is it didn't quite get to that $1.50 area away from VWAP, and I didn't get as many fills as I'd like. Still had a nice run after that, but you kind of have to, I guess, spread out your orders.
Still $1.10 right now.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I love I love the inside track here on the CNBC personality discussion. I absolutely love it. And by the way, speaking of Becky, I think she does a fabulous job. I think she does a really good job wrangling two folks that kind of like to go at each other.
Well done, Envious. Everybody's doing really well today.
Yeah, it sure is.
I'm glad to see it.
Sideshow saying the end of last week and every day this week, I'm making money again. Hopefully it's a good sign for the summer. Sideshow, let's go. Bards of Dobja, that is great. Oh, our stock market, Chewy at HOD. Okay, and actually we're getting to, another 20 or 30 cents here on TQQQ, and we got a buy zone here. Chewy indeed at the HOD. Actually pulled up. So it tapped God, 39.94, and it pulled 50 cents off that. 60 cents now. More pulling. Oh, God, we're going to get rejected at 40, aren't we? Son of a bee.
Rocket Lab approaching 20. If it goes under 20, this is going to be, in my opinion, probably a good spot to maybe consider picking up or adding shares. And I only like Rocket Lab long term. I'm not looking for a day trading that. Oh man, look at this move here. Here we go. Oh no.
And which one? Which one? Which one?
TQQQ. We went down to 58.33. Once again, just shy of some orders.
This is $1.20 away. I mean, you might even be able to nibble here.
Yeah. But I really wanted the
I
one
might,
of my orders to fill.
yeah, I might nibble here at 58.45. That way, at least it'll be a little bit a partial. And if it doesn't work, at least I'm not in full there. Filled on that right there. Mike is asking, can y'all check Tesla? Should I take some profits and come back later? Okay, so we cannot advise what you should do, but just as like a general rule, looking at like the open here as break even, this stock ripped. Like this was like a 7% move, wasn't it? What was this? Sorry, 6.17% move. I mean, look, on a day trade, on a big stock like this, I'd probably sell a little into that. Yeah. Bouncing here a little in TQQQ, but I wouldn't chase this.
You kind of have a bit of a megaphone pattern here with Tesla. Those are bullish. It's basically like a bull flag, but the flag part looks like a broadening wedge, so it makes a megaphone. Those are bullish. We're getting a resolution of that now, and it pulled us up above the 200-day SMA. Have not been above this SMA since March 3rd. So this is definitely looking good. Now, the next thing that I'd want to see if I was going to be in Tesla, I want to see it hold above the 200-day SMA. 300's great movie too, but I think that we want to hold above the 200-day SMA for at least a few days. If we get that, this thing is probably on its way up to taking out 325.
God, everything is turning around here. Everything is turning around.
MVVE is blasting off still. 344, and then it's pulling in.
I'll tell you what, I really wish my soundboard worked here. Smoke Tuna again was saying earlier that this is not done, and it sure seems like indeed it was not done here. STFU, Ryan, quick question, Whole 9 Yards, good movie or great movie? That's the Bruce Willis movie about the dentist, right? I haven't seen that one.
With
the Whole 9 Yards?
Who's that guy with from Friends?
David Schwimmer? Matthew Perry?
Matthew Perry. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, STF, you haven't seen it. Should I, or is this like a loaded one?
It's funny. They also made a sequel to it.
Yeah, Bruce Willis though, like I need him stomping terrorists. Like I need him trapped in a building on Christmas or stomping terrorists or something. I need some action. I don't need rom-com BS from Bruce Willis.
There's action.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, so he says the Bruce Willis movie about the Polish mafia in Chicago. Okay, so I'm obviously focusing on the wrong things. I'll take a look. If I see it, I'll let you know. I don't have, unfortunately, I haven't seen it, so I can't give you an opinion. Mike, we love you, man. Appreciate that. I'm just glad that something we're doing here is helping. I really am. I work for Benzinga. We've got a bunch of subscriptions here. Benzinga Pro is the flagship. It's what I use every day. Yes, of course, I'm trying to draw attention to that. But furthermore, more than that, something that's going to last longer than that is going to be building a community of people that are able to make money off of one another. One of the things that I've learned in my journey here is that I've talked to traders that 40, 30 years of experience. They all have groups of people that they bounce ideas off of. And I wanted to create that organically here. Y'all are a part of that.
Let's see what we get here out of the TQQQ, if it's going to put in a tweezer bottom or not. Looks like it still could potentially go lower, which would be good.
Luke saying, I can't believe your guys' live stream is free. I would pay. That's good to know. That is good to know. But yeah, dude, we're here to hang out. The only thing that we ask you for is hitting that like and subscribe. The only thing that we ask you for. Okay, that pull on the market, it looks like it's trying to figure out what it's doing here. The TQQQ is up off that low. Man, that was a decent ad. I'm not sure if we're going to get more than that. It's a small chunk though, so it's not going to be that great. It's going to be a what do they call it? What does Madaz call it? Big Mac trade, basically lunch money there. If this continues to bounce here, SPY looks like it's curling. Q's doing the same. Dow looks like it's doing the same as well.
W buy. I don't want to make a prediction right here, but this looks like it's aiming for 25. It just looks that way. The volume isn't that great. The spread is nasty, but you could easily get this. Okay, here we go.
Pete here saying, great tribute to Pisani here. Watch it later if you get a chance. Class act. I actually watched them go to break with his coworkers and his colleagues giving him a standing ovation as well as the reward. I'll say this, man. That's always a really good sign. If your colleagues, if your peers are doing that for you, that's a really, really good sign. I've never received a standing ovation for leaving any job that I've done. I hope to get that at one point in my life. I think you might be onto something there, Pete. And like I said, Bob has been a class act. Sorry, 13.
There it is. I cannot believe this shit sometimes. Sorry for the language,
what?
But W buy. There it is. There it is. I was just talking about how it could do this.
There we go. We buy global.
Yeah.
We buy 13's opinion. I'm sorry, 13. I got distracted there. I feel like I took away from your really good call. I feel bad.
No,
I feel like I just screwed it up. I feel like
No,
I'm going
it's just-
into the weekend with a big demerit on my record.
No. It's just that it's this thing.
Oh, God bless it,
crazy.
Amanda.
It's crazy, and I was saying, it could do this, but I just don't like it because of the low volume, the spread. There's just tremendous risk here, but with high risk comes high reward. So if you jumped into this when I was talking about it, well, you got rewarded. But you shouldn't just do that. 26.50 now. Stop! You're giving me FOMO, W buy.
I will say so. 3021 is the next level. Let's see if we get there. Now, I don't have FOMO on this yet because I recognized in the pre-market that this was probably going to be a little too risky for the type of stuff that I like to trade. So I'm okay passing it. Amanda here saying we do pay. Just wait for bear season. We pay with our ears. Amanda, really quick follow-up question on that. How do you feel about the new Pope once saying, and I quote, God bless everyone in the world except the people in Green Bay? How do you feel about that? I'm just curious about that. I mean, first American Pope from Chicago hates Green Bay. Just wondering how you're kind of sorting through that whole mess there.
Oh, nice call. Somebody said that Rocket Lab might have found its bottom. That was a great call. STFU, good job.
Pete says, blame me. Pete, you don't know me well enough yet. I'm often the guy taking unneeded blame for others. So I'm not going to sit here and blame you. I'm absolutely thrilled that you're here. Fairchild. Uh-oh. Oh, Fairchild, I love you too. All right. All right, I gotta try and focus now. I'm sure Amanda's going to zing me back here. I don't live in Green Bay, so there's that. Yeah, but don't you root for that sorry sack team? Love you, 13.
Yeah, that's okay. Just if you do happen to win the Super Bowl again, just make sure you note whose name's on that trophy.
Yeah. Oh, I do, and I like Lombardi. So let me be very clear here. He also coached for Washington, by the way. Fun fact.
Yeah, but we're on Lombardi time. All right, so SPYs, that could be doing the bear flag more of a bear flag that I was looking for. So there's still some more downside opportunities coming in SPY potentially.
So here's the question then. If we're going to trade the TQQQ here, do we wait out another retest of some of those lows to maybe dollar cost average a little bit lower, closer to our target, or do we just scrap it and wait for it to resolve? What do you think
So
tactically?
So what I have done, I still have DQQ right now. I lightened my position because it looks like we could go lower. So it's okay, and I took a tiny bit of profit. So if I do go lower, I can add some more, and dollar cost average that down. And if it just turns around and rips here, I still have enough of it that I'm happy with to let this train run. So that's where I'm at right now. Just waiting for it to see what it does. But I have a plan for both sides. Just, got to manage that risk.
So that may have just been made moot, as here we go, bouncing now. Joseph, so first of all, the stuff about the Pope, the amount of memes and GIFs yesterday about the Pope were spectacular. I saw this one too. The new Pope majored in math. He knows not only sin, but cos, which is, of course, cosine. I thought that was really funny. I'm a mathlete, not an athlete. What can I say? I like math jokes. Joe here, this might be pretty good. Can you explain the bear flag you see or saw in charts? So you want to do it with SPY here, or is this not good enough anymore?
No, you could do it with SPY, but I think you would it'd be better if you just Googled Forex chart patterns and just kind of familiarize yourself with the different patterns that can arise. You'll see cut with handles, head and shoulders, bear flags, scallops, all different kinds of these pattern formations that explain what they, not what they are, but how they look, so that when they start appearing on the chart, you can, recognize that. When you look at the 5-minute chart on a SPY, and you've got that right there, bear flags and bull flags, they'll look similar, just mirrored of each other. So with this one, this being a bear flag, you have this large move down starting from about 567 going down to 562. So that's your flag pull, and then after that, in the minutes later on that are building these candles, you're going to start to see the price create candles with higher highs and higher lows, but it's going to get up to a previous area of resistance, and when it does, what will usually happen with bear flags is it'll begin to sell off and break that low that it just made from the flagpole. So right now,
I've tried to draw it here on the chart, 13, and I'm sorry, my drawing skills are not up to par, but I'm trying to draw what you're explaining.
It's okay. I mean, not everybody was well versed in MS Paint, so that's that's about as good as it's going to get. But that's fine. I mean, you could even just use some of the trend lines that the broker of the tools that are available to you are in for the charts.
So Joe, sorry.
Go ahead.
Let me summarize this for you, Joe. I know there was kind of a lot there. A bear flags consist of two things. You've got the flagpole and the flag itself. Mm-hmm. A bear flag is one where the flag is down, if it's upside down. So you've got a flagpole here and you've got this flag. Now, it's worth noting we're breaking out of this, right? So maybe we're invalidating this, but I'm trying to show you here for the record. I'm trying to explain this for you. A bull flag would be the opposite. It would be something like this, just going in the opposite direction. And so this is what we're talking about when we're looking at this. Let me know if that's helpful. CCG trader, here you go. So here, I see it. He's absolutely right. Here's your flagpole. Oh, you know what? I have to make this thicker. Here's your flagpole. Here's your flag. Look what it did. It busted out. It resolved high. Thank you. Who was this? CCG Trader 25. There you go. This is an excellent example here of a bull flag resolving to the upside.
And Smoke Tuna is right. The best way to learn bearish and bullish patterns is watch the charts every day and see how the price moves. I have so many hours of just staring at charts under my belt. I probably should admit how long I've been looking at these things, but it's so true. You continue to look at these things, especially when it comes to an individual name. Like, I know people only trade Tesla, and they've been watching that chart for days, months, maybe even years. They understand exactly how that trades. They know what patterns to look for. They know when it's they know how to watch the volume. They have that dialed in. So yes, the longer you watch these charts, the more you realize you can see these patterns. And now it looks like the SPY is starting to get that selling where we're going to resolve this bear flag to the downside.
Okay, I'm going to leave that on the screen. Amanda here is saying, tell me you went to high school in the 90s without telling me you went to high school in the 90s. I'll try one here. Amanda. We'll see if you can get that one. I'll be impressed if you can.
Yeah, so SDFU, when it comes, I know there's a lot of disagreement between pennants and flags, but when it comes to pennants, those are compressing, and flags are usually just reverting to the opposite direction. And here we go with more selling in the TQQQ and the SPY. This is a resolution we're looking for here.
SPY moving to the downside here on that bounce. Still in that TQQQ. It's a small chunk, so I'm okay with it. Testing a new indicator, anchored volume.
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever done anchored volume.
But if it works for you, use it.
Yeah, I can't hardly wait. Thank you, Go Steve D. Thank you, Go Steve D. Yo, y'all know I don't even need to get in. I don't need to embarrass myself. You guys know exactly why the first thing I thought of was can't hardly wait. There's no question about it. I don't even need to get into it. It was not Napoleon Dynamite. It was indeed can't hardly wait. Go Steve. You know.
Buyers trying to step in with the market, not getting the bull flag resolution yet.
Look at Sizzle continue to sizzle. Just what a move on this. We gotta ask Tim Melvin about. I know he gave this to us a long time ago, but hot damn, another great move.
W buy 2670 new high.
Sorry. I jumped in there. I'm sorry about that. We saw a ton of Tesla call flow on those two rips up right out of the open. We are now seeing put flow come in as this back test the 300 level. I've got the VWAP at exactly 333 cents.
SIDA is trying to turn around. NVVE. This is trying to take out the 344 high. Still making its way to 5. Rocket Lab with a good rebound here still has a task of recapturing VWAP. And it also looks like TMDX is trying to recapture its VWAP as well.
Tesla here. Yeah, take care of yourself, Judge. Speaking of our discussion here on flags, here's Tesla.
Yeah.
See where we go here. Oost still cranking along. Oost might try and break that intraday high. Stock is strong today. Boy, there is a ton of stuff on the relative volume scanner. That something happened here today. DraftKings coming back in a little bit. Rivian higher by 4.7%. That's moving on the back of that Tesla rumor. I don't think so. Oscar Health, another Tim Melvin pick. This is having a decent day here today. Go-Go's continuing to go somewhere. Wild.
Uh-oh, what happened with the Browns and Nick Chubb?
Yeah, did the Bears sign Chubb? I heard talk that they might add him as an additional running back. Ryan, very interesting. They keep buying Dave and Sezzle, but a firm was whacked. So I had mentioned that before you got here. I know we had talked about Dave and Sezzle maybe giving you a little bit of insight to a firm. And they actually had the CEO on CNBC this morning. He was trying to defend it. A firm actually taking another leg lower here. The growth numbers were impressive, but the market not rewarding this. Minus 12% here. Where does a firm go? I thought for sure that this was a stock that was on its way to zero. I thought we were going to have all types of problems with the consumer and blowups and all of this. And a firm just, it didn't. I was just straight up wrong on this one. I still don't like these. But are we really setting up for a possible inverse head and shoulders here?
Well, I mean,
that was so janky. I can do a better job.
Their guidance, even though they lifted it, it still wasn't enough to really entice investors because they lifted it from 810 million to 840 to up to 815 to 845, and the estimate was 841. So most of that guide is still in the lower underneath the estimates. So I think that's probably one of the big reasons is that the gross sales are just not going to be up to expectations.
TQQQ, we are 45 cents away from ringing the register, folks.
Still looks like this could be a bear flag. Just, give it some more time. But it'll get, if we recapture VWAP, I think this would be invalidated, but it's not yet.
Tesla seems to have simmered down here. Okay, 13, we are out of time here for today. Let's start wrapping up here before we go to Sandy. We also, after Sandy, we are going to have Paul Meeks on. So there's plenty more content coming on the channel here. 13 and I are done for the week. 13, any closing words for the group?
Hey, folks, you had a wonderful week. I'm glad that everybody was making money. And I want to just say thank you to everybody that's showing up and welcome all the new folks. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe because we're going to be coming back here next week. We're going to do this all over again, and we'll have a great time as well. So take care. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye, everybody.
I love that, 13. Completely reiterate it. Hitting the like and subscribe is free, and it is the best way that you can support us. Really great stuff here all week. We'll start up next week. 13's departure leaves room for Sandy. Let's go ahead and talk to her. Sandy, how you doing today? You're muted.
Good morning. Happy Friday, guys. How you doing?
Happy Friday. That was. I know I'm muted. I've been there. I could see it. All right. What do you got coming up for us today?
Oh gosh, we're going to take a look at some option flow that came in for Disney, FSLR, Amazon, and then take a look at the the typical ones and see if we're at resistance. Are we doing a little pullback like Tesla right at resistance today? Looking to see what might happen next week, what the expected move is, and then go from there.
Okay. Sounds like you have a full show. I'm going to get out of the way. Happy Friday, folks. Options trading made simple with Sandy starts right now.
Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. I'm here to show you short-term proven strategies. People think trading is a one-size-fit-all market. It's not. We live trade and train daily. Let's talk trading.
Good morning, Benzinga. How is everybody doing today? So let's take a look at our heat map here on Thinkorswim. Real easy visual to kind of see, hey, what is really breaking out and what is not. So Tesla, let's take a look at this name Tesla. Where are we at? Been watching it, right? That 300 level, also a whale level, holding as resistance and looks like it's fighting through right now on a 5-minute. About 76 cents above that 300 level. You could see this indicator that identifies consolidation on my chart as yellow here, really showing you that, that 20 EMA that I have on the chart is really acting as support right now. And that support, right, is right at that 299, let's just say 35 level, thereabouts. You could see this upsloping channel on a 5-minute as we're just looking at the intraday moves here. And you can see that channel pointing in an upward direction, right? Going off the screen here. However, looking to see if it breaks, and look at the confluence with the weekly expected move high being at 297.67 and where that channel is. And then you can also see the consolidation band, the higher resistance level here, located right at the 307.01, right? Which was basically today's high. If we take a look at this candle, make it 307.04 to be precise. But really, that's where that upsloping line is that meets that consolidation band. Really like to see that. And then you could see the gap down below for today. Now, if we start breaking that band on Tesla, this afternoon, and we break below the expected high for the week was 297.67 thereabouts, you could see that we do have that gap from the overnight action. So that'll be interesting to see if that ends up happening. Right now, momentum, if we take a look at momentum, why does it matter? Momentum drives price. So if momentum drives price and we see that momentum is a little low right now, we're underneath the zero line, staying in that little kind of gray area right here, which is that choppy zone, we could see this actually rise up above, break the zero line of momentum, and head higher. What would that mean? That means that that 300 resistance is broken. We're now at 301. So what are we going to do? We're going to do probably a double top, and we're either going to do two things when we get back up here. We're either going to break the top for a breakout, or it's going to act as resistance, come right back down so that it can fight it again and maybe follow through like this upsloping channel that's being identified on the chart here. VIX still at 2231. Why does it matter? VIX being over 20, it's just an industry standard that volatility is still in our marketplace. That volatility could really create a swing high or a swing low. So those swings that occur in the marketplace are ever so predominant when the VIX is over 20. Keep an eye on the VIX, and you can kind of keep an eye on volatility, and you can determine if you like trading in this type of environment. Option traders really like volatility. Number one is as volatility rises, so does the option prices on the chain. And what a lot of people like to do is they like to, if you're experienced, sell premium. Why? Well, because options are expensive. Would you rather be a buyer of an expensive option or a seller of an expensive option? And so this is where then sellers typically step in, want to sell a contract so that they can get maximum premium for that. They still got to get the direction right unless they're in a strategy. And you can see Thinkorswim here. We're on a single, but you could see all the different strategies that are here in we got vertical, back ratio spread, calendar spread, diagonal, straddle, strangle, and they go on and on. So these different types of strategies work well in high environments where the market is volatile because you can get a premium, and selling premiums what a lot of option traders like to do. Now, option traders also like these swings. Why is that? Because you can make a lot of money really fast. But on the flip side, you could lose a lot of money really fast. So you need to be able to react quickly. A lot of experienced traders like to day trade during high volatility times if they're option buyers, because they're looking for that quick move on some high flying stocks. So if you're looking at Tesla as an example, up $16 today, and then you look at the Qs only up 47 cents, you could really see why you would rather, right, trade individual stocks for day trading versus a basket of stocks like an ETF, excuse me. So as we look at Tesla really looking like a breakout today, I've been kind of scoping this in our community. Tradingmadesimple.org, by the way, before I forget, I typically do. So as we look at this, let's look at it now on a longer term time frame for Tesla since it's breaking out. By the way, when you look at the Market Watch chart, look at how green Tesla is comparably to the rest of the chart. So with Tesla having this awesome day, we can take a look back to our chart on a day time frame and see our weekly expected move. Now, this indicator is really just showing you, right, where Tesla appears to be going with its weekly expected move. Now, the market makers decide what that weekly expected move is. This indicator basically just calculates that and then shows you what that looks like for the next following week. You could see that the weekly expected move on Tesla in the last 2 weeks were kind of like side by side. This block right here is a Monday through Friday block. This block right here, a Monday through Friday block. Now look at next week's Monday through Friday block. Little higher, isn't it? So that would let us know that Tesla right now breaking the 300 range. Where could it go to next week? Market makers have it at 320. So something to take in consideration as we're looking at Tesla. Looking good, I would say, for a swing. Look at momentum on a day, bypassing the 100 level, really showing strong momentum. We're at 302 now. 300 was resistance. Got a lot of volume into the market, and it is going higher. Now, next week, we have a high of approximately 320, and we have a low of 282. So as you can see, the kind of bracket level that puts it a little higher, you can definitely see that we're not consolidating. And you can see my consolidation bands as well, working nicely, right? Working nicely with that yellow consolidation band. And as you can see, we broke above that consolidation band today and our weekly expected move, but we dropped back down. That's an area of a wick, meaning that price went through, but came right back down. So as we touch it and come right back down, what do we have in store for next week? 282 or 320 could hit both if volatility stays this high at 22. Still at 22, looking for the VIX to kind of go back lower. But as you can see, this looks pretty good. Let's take a look at SPY now, kind of just give an analysis here. You could see the last 2 weeks, actually 3 weeks, right? We've been on the rise for SPY. Kind of did some consolidation after that pullback. You can see the bands. If you can kind of just, in your mind's eye, you can see where the bands are. Did some consolidation here, broke above the 20, and is just keeps rising. And look at the 20 EMA, also rising as well. When you can see that EMA rise as well, and it's not just flat, you could really kind of gauge, right, what may be happening here. But look at next week's expected move, and I find this interesting. So as we look at Market Watch and we see kind of the snapshot of, wow, we got Tesla. What is this guy right here? PODD, TXN, ADI, NXPI, semiconductors. Apple is green, but not bright green, right? Not like Tesla when we take a look at Tesla. And you can actually kind of see some green spots and red spots in all the sectors, right? There's not like a sector that's, going gangbusters all on its own. We can actually see consumer staples as a whole, right? Really looking more red than it is green. We only have a little tiny box here on Monster Beverage that's doing well, but really it looks like consumer staples not looking too good. Energy and materials. You could see the dark green as well as for energy. Only COP really looking red in there. So we have primarily that. How about consumer services, right? Google, Meta. Look at that. Big squares of Google and Meta, red, almost a black. It's kind of like a dark red. And then NVIDIA and Apple. Look at these two giants right here. NVIDIA on the downside being red, and Apple actually being green, a little bit up today, but a very dark green, almost a black, like Microsoft, almost looking black. So really, what really stands out on this chart is Tesla. That's why we took a look at it. But let's take a look at some other names as well. So when I see the expected move for next week, and I see that the market makers, who are pretty good at pricing their options, the market makers looking to have a high and a low, basically matching this week's high and low. So that's interesting. They expect SPY to go mostly sideways again, right? So SPY taking a little bounce up here, but then they're saying, this might go a little higher. So we'll have to see. If it ends up coming up to its weekly high of 576.24, or its low at 554.12, well, I have to see. Right now it's flat. So it's actually matching with the market makers, right? Today's activity matching SPY's market makers activity for the weekly expected move right now, just kind of sideways and flat. So we'll have to see if that pans out. It can still, move in an entire week. Let's take a look at the Qs. Qs getting a little bit of a pump today because of Tesla, but look at it. It's nowhere, right? Why? Because the entire sector is really not doing anything. Tesla's the only thing that's going on in the sector. Nothing else really happening here. How about IWM? Let's take a look at IWM. IWM flat as well. Why? Because we looked at that market watch, and you could really identify that, you know, everything is basically flat when you start to try to average out that red and green area, right? VIX still at 22. We could have some major moves. Looks like this may be going sideways as well. And then DIA, let's take a look. DIA also sideways. We're down a buck 17 today, but look at the weekly expected move for next week, guys. A butterfly, a neutral butterfly, possibly in this type of, you could actually purchase, right? A butterfly for a neutral position here going sideways on all these ETFs. And then let's just take a look at one of the major indices here. Wow, even SPX, even though SPY is a tenth of it, approximately, you could see that flat, not even a buck today. There you go, negative $1, $1 on SPX. I would be watching the VIX and then identify, is this the type of marketplace that you like you like these types of swings? If you don't, got to tell you, you know, we're relatively flat, waiting for the VIX to get under 20. That may happen with some positive news. You know, a lot of this tariff talk. Look at this double bottom here on Amazon, coming back up to a double top. And now we're just kind of going sideways. Look at the weekly expected move for Amazon as look at the 20 EMA. It's kind of flattening out. Do you remember when we were looking at Tesla's? Tesla's was rising, price is rising above that EMA, making it go up. Where, what were we taking a look just now at Amazon? You could see how it's kind of flattening out, as well as that indicator. If you want to get your hands on this indicator, I don't mind sharing it with you. You can email me at sandra@tradingmadesimple.org, and I'm happy to send it over to you. Have done it in the past and will continue to do it. I like these type of indicators that can just help you think quickly, right? It's helping you to identify what may happen next week from a market maker's perspective. Now, if you didn't have the indicator and you wanted to check that out yourself, right, you'd go over here as an example to Amazon's trade tab. And then you can actually go out 7 days, and then you can see plus or minus. Right now it's at $7.86. And so then you would go back to your charts, and then you would identify that, and you could create the borders. This is just a real simple way. And it also includes volatility for the week as well. So I do like the calculation. Now, the calculation of this indicator won't happen until the actual close of today. And then this line in the middle really is just identifying point of control, right? So you have your high and your low. And that middle line, right in the middle of those two, is point of control. If it breaks above it, starting out on Monday as an example, then we are heading towards, right, probabilities increase that we're heading towards the high, the weekly high. If it breaks below it, probabilities are that we're going to be breaking below, going towards our weekly low expected move. And that's basically how you utilize this. But in a real sense, just like we look at Market Watch for a quick analysis of, hey, what's happening in the marketplace, you could do the same thing as you start to identify each and every stock that maybe is on your watch list that you like to trade, right? Let's take a look at some FSLR. These are some names that came through for some institutional flow. Now, oftentimes you'll get to see like what the institutions are doing if you have such a tool. We do have this in our community, of course, and really want to identify like where are the institutions placing their bets now? Because retail traders, we're trend traders, right? We're really following the trend and price action. We're looking at momentum, right? Because momentum drives price. You could see on FSLR, we broke above the zero line here, and look at next week's expected move, higher than this week's expected move. Why? Well, we broke out of this week's high. And so that gives the market makers a higher probability that this stock is ready to move. Momentum has already passed the 0 line and it's approaching the 100. If it breaks through that 100, you're going to see a lot more momentum follow through. And when that happens, as you can see, when we broke out of this little area, you could see that price basically stayed higher until we broke below it, right? And look at that huge gap on FSLR. Wow, that was a monstrous gap down. And that gap down, as an example, is what you see when you have the VIX at 22 or higher. Now, when we talk about the VIX, how high can VIX go? You can actually identify it like a chart as well and use your indicators to help you identify where the average is. Right now, you can see the VIX is below its 20-day moving average. And you can see the market makers also have their expected move for the VIX. Now, the VIX's pivot low here on a daily chart is all the way down here at 16. Now, remember, when the VIX moves lower, the market moves higher, typically speaking, okay? So you can see at one time, the VIX was at 60. That was on April 7th, had risen all the way up to 60. And so you can see now it's VIX is crushing, right? It's actually moving lower and lower. The lower the VIX goes, the healthier the market will get. Fear, this is a fear gauge, so people identify the fear in the marketplace. And that includes institutions. They don't want to invest their money when there's a lot of fear going on. They'd rather sit on the sidelines and wait and see. So what I like to do when I see the VIX crushing like this, and you can see that it moving lower each and every week. Now, even this week is the market makers are expecting the VIX to move a little lower. And so what I then like to see as the VIX is moving towards that 20 level that I'm watching, and by the way, that's just like industry standard, right? So in every industry, we kind of have information that's well known. Just because you don't know it doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't exist. It's just an industry standard, not a secret sauce or anything. So the industry standard, right, for the VIX is typically when we're under 20, you're going to see the market have its normal marketplace where you're going to have pullbacks, you're going to have breakouts, but they're more identifiable. We've been in a news, basically like the momentum and the swings have been primarily on news events, and those news events really controlling the marketplace. News events create this kind of fear in the marketplace where people just want to like wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens with the tariffs. Let's wait and see what happens when there's a catastrophic event occurring or like a trade war, etc. And so when that happens, everything kind of like pauses. People take money out, waiting and see. So right now, we did have a nice pullback as the VIX went up higher. We're now crushing the VIX. We could get below 20 and have a really nice marketplace where price action analysis, right, is really more crucial when the market environment is under 20. When you have these news events that can create huge gaps overnight, okay, then your charting analysis goes right out the window, right? I mean, what you were seeing on the chart could still exist, but it's not a normal marketplace where that can really play out in its entirety, because one tweet or one news event could just blow your charting analysis up. So when it gets below 20, I really like it. And a lot of day traders really like to day trade when the VIX is over 20. And they want to just take advantage of those moves. They'll take a look at the market watch. They'll see a stock like Tesla. They'll identify the support and resistance, and then maybe automate a trade from there, right? You could do that in the morning as an example. Let's take a look at Google now. That was under communication services. Google down. And this was interesting because I did see some institutional flow yesterday that institutions were selling Google. Now we're only down about 80 cents, so it's not too much, but look at this huge engulfing candle on the 7th, right? A couple days ago, had a huge sell order here, right? This is not just like one retail seller. This is like, several institutions piling in, right? They're like really piling in. And then they put the brakes on a little bit. Now, institutions, when they go to sell their portfolio of Google, as an example, they kind of have to do it in bits and pieces. It can't just be all in one day. But that definitely is an identifier of, oh, we got some selling in Google. Then you can see the option flow actually showing you that. And so then you want to just keep your eye on the stock to see how much lower is it going to go. Let's take a look at the market makers and how they've evaluated this stock. As I was looking at option flow, let's take a look at what the market maker saw. Market makers was looking at the last 2 weeks of consolidation going sideways, and so was my consolidation bands, right? But we broke below that. Typically, when you break below a consolidation area of support, right? So that just means that your higher probabilities are just going down, right? Broke below support, going down. So that area right here, which is 155.12, that really is the area of resistance for Google. And you can see now for next week, not only on a daily chart did we break below on that big heavy day on 5/7, break below our 20 EMA, which I always like to use as a reversion to the mean. You could see that we've stayed below it for the last couple days. Now, the market makers looking at this and saying, this is where the expected move is for next week. So depending on where we close today, right, will determine if we open up on Monday above today's close, higher probability that we're going to come and do what? And look at the market makers and how a couple of these indicators can really show you, right, the confluence of it. Okay. I like the 20 EMA. I always felt like it was just an indicator that was easy for me to identify with other indicators that I like. And look at how the confluence of next week's high on Google being right where 20. And what is the 20? It's going to be resistance, right? And of course, though it is identified the EMA with, one little line, we know that these are zones. We could break above or below a little bit, but it is a zone. And you can see that momentum on a daily chart, by the way, on 5/7, that big engulfing candle, breaking through momentum. But look at how we stopped right where the 100 is. Now, remember, we break below that 100 line on momentum. That means you're going to see a flood of volume coming in to even give it more of a push down. And remember, we're seeing institutional flows selling Google. Will that be the next engulfing candle to go to next week's low, 148.73, right? Could you put if you felt like the supporting confluence, right, the indicators, the option flow, could you then put something down here and say, okay, I'm going to take a 148 put as an example? Could be cheap. Let's take a look at that right now. For 7 days out, what was that little area I said? 148.73, 149, somewhere around 150, 128. And look at the volume here, guys. I love it. Okay, so we're talking about confluence of indicators. We're talking about option flow, what we see there, right? So if you guys don't know, I was a police officer for 30 years, and I'm very, analytical when it comes to like details. And so whenever I, take a look at the indicators and I'm identifying that these things are matching up, it just leads me to believe like it's like, I was doing my job. It's just how much supporting evidence can you like put together to identify that this is what's happening? Your analysis is what's happening. And that's what we do in different types of jobs, whether it includes data collection or investigation. But what I like to see is that kind of stuff, because what that does is just makes it, you believe that you have the totality of the information that helps you to make a decision in everyday life. So as we take a look at institutional flow selling, the big engulfing candle of the institutions, possibly starting a sell for Google. And then we take a look at the weekly expected move, which is 148 around that area. And then we look at the trade tab, and we're looking at that 150 area, and you can see a lot of volume there. You got a lot of open interest, and you also have a lot of volume. And to me, that just is like, there's a lot of people looking at this for next week. And we're going to give ourselves about 7 days. I actually like this as just a clean trade for next week. It's not very expensive. It's $131 for an out of the money put. We're actually using, let me show you this. We're actually using, right? Typically speaking, when you buy options, whether it be a call or a put, you're buying an at the money. This is industry standard. You're typically going to buy an at the money or maybe even an out of the money. Now, if you're going to buy and hold that option, then you're taking about a 60, 70 delta, because you don't want that time to erode your option contract. So you actually take an in the money option contract, okay? But if you're just looking for short moves, inexpensive option plays with high probability, then you may want to just look at the money, right? Which is like a 50-50 shot is the way that the ratio is 50-50 shot of your trade working out. And out of the money, the market makers are going to give you more of a reward for that because it is out of the money. So the out of the money is like, oh, that's less probabilities. But you're looking at supporting evidence going, I think I got a shot here. So I think I'm going to take it. So as we go here, let's just take a couple of these for next week. We'll see how it turns out. Google, high volume. You have a lot of flow in here, so it's easy to get in and get out. You could see that our bid ask is at 128. We're not going to have a problem whatsoever getting these filled. But that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking at that contract and saying, I think we have a good shot of hitting that 150 level as we take a look at the option flow, as well as us breaking down below momentum and looking at us to get approximately by next Friday around the 148, 150. So we took a 150 strike, pretty relatively cheap. Looks like I'm still waiting to get filled, but that's what we got going on today. I hope this information was helpful. We actually, as a company, I'm the founder of tradingmadesimple.org. You could check it out if you're into automation as well as professional tools for retail traders. Have a great day, guys. Have a wonderful weekend.